All right, we are live. We are playing some Gisela Blade of Goldnight and testing out some new toys from M21. Couple lands for our opponents while I was trying to get everything set up and going. And that'll bring it to our turn one. There's a Mana Geyser. Let's drop down the Needle Spires that will come in tapped. And we'll pass like that. So, yeah, testing out Gisela Blade of Goldnight. She got a lot of new toys in M21. There is the dragon, the terror thing. Actually, we can take a peek at them while opponents are doing stuff. So we've got Fiery Emancipation. If a source you control will deal damage to a permanent or player, it deals triple that damage to that permanent or player instead. On top of Gisela, I feel like it's just overkill. Like anything is super deadly at that point. Doesn't matter what it is. A lightning bolt will probably kill a player. We've got Chandra's Incinerator. Looks pretty cool. Whenever non-combat damage is dealt to opponents, it will act as some cost reduction and basically allows us to fling around more damage, and all those triggers will get doubled if Gisela's in play. We've got Terror of the Peaks, another thing that throws damage around and also looks really, really cool. On top of that, we got a lot of burn. We got some things like Boros Reckoner. I've got some swords in the deck. Kind of a little hybrid. It's not completely burn. It's not completely combat. Wanted to kind of blur the lines a little bit, and you just see how that goes. Also got a Mangara. Hoping we can get a look at that one today as well. So more lands for opponents. A Mind Stone. I haven't seen Fiery Emancipation enough to know if it's better than True Conviction or not. That's certainly a question on my mind. In this deck, I think it's like crazy overkill. In a deck that doesn't have Gisela in the command zone, where you don't already have access to doubling of your damage, I think it could be pretty cool. The one thing with True Conviction is it gains you a lot of life, and that life gain can keep you alive against a lot of different stuff. So it's not just that like you're doing a lot of damage, it's also that it's like really hard for opponents to kill you now. And if you have like any kind of vigilance on your stuff, then True Conviction really does a lot, because then they can't attack in profitably and all that good stuff. So anyway, play the Marsh Flats, crack the Marsh Flats, so get the Misfell Plains right here. And we will pass like that. Nate asks, have I seen the new Sword of Fire and Ice? I have. It looks pretty sweet. The War and Peace was like pretty cool. The Fire and Ice is really cool. I don't know. The dude with the icicles. Yeah, it's pretty sweet. Pretty sweet. We'll see how expensive those are, and how difficult it is for me to procure a copy once those come out, but they do look pretty cool. Someone asks, would I be more excited for a new Naya Angel Commander? Potentially. It depends on what it does. Like, I really like having Aurelia or Gisela in the command zone, quite honestly, because it gives you the ability to close the game out quickly. One of the things I noticed with the other colors of Angel decks, and I've tried just about all of them, not all of them have made it to video, but I have tried them late at night while I'm doing my testing. And one of the problems is when you don't have Aurelia or Gisela, it takes like 5 to 6 angels to kill a player, which is quite a few, and like that's a lot of mana worth of creatures to have in play and to keep in play. And just like when you have that, people are naturally going to try to blow it up with removal. With Aurelia and Gisela, it only takes like maybe 2 plus your commander to really put lethal on a player. So you need such a smaller board presence that I really like having those two as my angel commanders. But if they made a Naya Angel Commander with a really cool ability, I'd still try it out. as cliche as it is, it would probably need some ridiculous like cost reduction, draw a million cards, tutor angels from your library into play ability to get like really, really excited about it. But I don't know. That's Tectonic Giant off the top. We are running a little bit clunky on land. Just going to have to hope for a land off the top. In the meantime, we'll play this Repercussion. Usually a card you want to hang on to a little bit, but hopefully it doesn't get blown up. It probably will, because it's kind of ridiculous, but yeah. Hopefully we can make our next land after that, either Hedron Archive or Tectonic Giant. Yeah, I certainly understand the sentiment of like Boros +1 color angels could be cool. They're definitely underrepresented. Like Imperial Archangel is a really sweet card that is unfortunately not legendary, and I would totally run as a commander if it were. But I wrote down all of the other like non-Boros multicolor angels on a list somewhere. There's a couple of blue ones. There's a couple of black and white angels. Probably the most exciting of the bunch is like Angel of Despair, and if you're into that kind of thing, Desolation Angel. But yeah, I had a list of all the other ones. So like Rien's all right. Rien's not terrible. Just that a lot of the angels you run are monocolor white. There's a handful of cool multicolor ones that you can like kind of get back with the ability, but I don't know. I almost switched my Paper Aurelia deck to Rien for a little while just to kind of mix things up, but I've played Rien, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 times, which is like a few more times than I play a lot of the decks that I play. Oh, there's an Arcane Signet. We needed that. We needed that. But anyway, I played it more than I played like many other decks that I played on this channel, and it does really cool things, but it never seems to win. Like I always fall just a little bit short. People have the answers, that kind of stuff, and you know, it does cool things, but a little disappointing when you don't quite get there in the end. Playing Maelstrom Archangel. That's a cool card. I would say that it's probably just like a little bit strong though. Like, you know, if you just play that into like a time, what's the one? Time stretch. It's kind of ridiculous. There's plenty of ways to make it not broken, but also probably a little bit too easy to make it broken. Like it's got when you see that, you think like the Joda deck, just big dumb sorceries that have no setup at all, and yeah. But yeah, it'd be cool if Maelstrom was legendary, but it would also be a little problematic if it was too. We've already got so much like cast big dumb spell for free kind of stuff that it's a problem. Sifter of Skulls for opponent. All right, let's try not to get punished off the top here. It's going to be really terrible if we miss a land or a piece of ramp. Really, really terrible. I'm holding my breath in anticipation. Opponent's taking their little time here. Come on, land. It's a land, all right. Not punished. All right, tough choice. Tectonic Giant or Hedron Archive. Generally, ramp is better, but a blocker is not the worst thing I've ever heard of in this moment. Hedron Archive makes it so we can probably get Mana Geyser next turn, and that seems like it could be a pretty good idea. So I think I'm going to go the Hedron Archive route right here. And we'll pass like that. Never didn't have it. Almost had the classic Boros non-game. You know. It's always a fine line that you walk. That's why I try to run like Tithe, Land Tax, Gift of Estates, 2 or 3 of those type of cards in a deck, just to make sure you don't miss the lands, because yeah, it's bad when you do. It's real bad when you do. Solemn Simulacrum. This deck probably needs one of those. I think I missed that card when I was building. So much value. Also the ability to like tell people to not attack you. This thing says no one will attack them for the next 6 turns until they find trample or something like that. It's a lot of value for 4 mana. We'll take a look at what our opponents are playing today. We've got Zombie Caller piloting Omnath, Locus of the Royal. Pretty good card. Going to do a bunch of elemental things. Panic when you see... What's the name of that thing? That new one. That's kind of ridiculous. Oh, God, what's the name? You guys know the one I'm talking about. It's like Coiling Oracle, but happens all the time. Yeah, I can't think of the name of it. When we see it, we're in trouble. Also, if we just see a lot of elementals, we're also in trouble, because it can't shoot things down. After that, we've got Mockfire playing his patented Atali Primal Storm deck. Seen this deck on the channel a bunch of times, and it's pretty good. It's pretty good. He's off to a pretty good start here. They had a Mana Crypt involved. That does help. There's a Sword of the Animus, getting more lands. So the problem with that is that, you know, you want to blow Atali up, but if he's getting extra lands with the Sword of the Animus, that means he'll be able to recast it pretty easily. And there's a Footfall Crater, a card that I keep telling myself I have to put in decks and, like, just don't for some reason. So he can get it back with haste, which is also a problem. So, like, the thing that we'd really want in this moment is, like, an Austere Command type board wipe where we can blow up some artifacts and enchantments as well. Because he's going to be able to rebuild super, super quickly, even if we're able to take it down one time. And then finally, we've got Mugen 80 piloting Teysa Karlov, a.k.a. Death Harmonicon. Whenever a creature dies, you will get Dose the triggers. And also the part that I always forget, creature tokens you control have Vigilance and Lifelink. Never remember that that's a line of text that's actually on Teysa Karlov. So, yeah. Opponent going on the attack. Who's getting it? I'm sure we are, because we're, like, wide open. Oh, God. That Magmatic Force is not mine. That probably goes in the Elementals deck. Yeah, that would make sense. But there's a Jaya Assimilating Inferno, which they won't be able to cast because it's the next spell. We unfortunately lose the next spell, although we kind of just want to hit another land. But a Magmatic Force is, like, a pretty serious problem. Like, that is no joke. If someone's got a board wipe, they're going to need to play it really soon. Actually, funny story, if we cast Gisela, those triggers will be 6 damage to opponents and 1 damage to us, so that might be the thing to do. Risen Reef, that's the card. Thank you, chat. Yeah, that thing's pretty busted. I don't know about that card. I see it, and then I die, is usually how things go. Doing a little land count right here. Looks like 5 tap lands for opponent, 2 more right there. Opponent going to block with the Solemn Simulacrum Suite. Just doing a little count for our mana geyser. Probably going to want to do that this turn. Gisela is double white. Gisela's double white. We are a bit short on white mana. Not the best. Ooh, there's a Repercussion in play. I forgot about that. Oh, God, that's ridiculous. This is going to make things silly. Who plays Repercussion? Joken, yeah, the power creep's been insane. Like, the amount of choices for an Aurelia deck now are absolutely... Oh, God, that's a Seize the Day. Are absolutely insane. You know, even if you're just talking about, like, literally the creatures you can choose for 4 mana, or the creatures you can choose for 3 mana, there's, like, a million choices. 5 mana, there's a million choices. Like, it just... You have a lot of choices to work with, and kind of just depends on, like, how you want to build the deck. So, Atali going back to combat. You're going to get another trigger. There's an Ashnod's Altar. Going to get another land. Oh, boy. At least they tapped out the lands, so we'll get some pretty good Mana Geyser action, assuming everything holds up. We could use a board wipe of some sort. We've got a decent number in the deck. Had another question about the stuff we're testing today. That'd be the old Fire Emancipation, Terror of the Peaks, Mangara, and... Oh, can't forget Brash Taunter. Almost missed that one. Got the double Stuffy Doll plan in the deck. And also Chandra's Incinerator. Those are the new cards that we're trying to test out. Yeah, here's some of the board wipes. Earthquake, Fault Line, Immolating Inferno, already gone. We've got a Blasphemous Act. We have a Pyrohemia. Oh god, can't speak. And a Chandra's Ignition. I'd be happy to see just about any of those off the top. And Atali coming back our way. Yep, this is going to hurt. This is going to put us on 13 commander damage from Atali. That's pretty bad. Also, they can flashback this Seize the Day next turn. Also not good. We'll see if the black and white decks got a board wipe, because usually they're good for those. Blasphemous Act is lethal? Oh, yeah, it might be. It might be. Magmatic Force at Mugen. Okay. Okay. I love Magmatic Force. Such a fun card. Should probably put it in this deck, but it's a little heavy on the mana. I mean, at the very least, someone needs to at least, like, try and kill the Atali. Midnight Reaper's not going to do it. Ugh. Wouldn't mind a Plains off the top. Would be a pretty good place to be, I think, right here. We'll see how quickly this game goes, Scott. My current inclination is it's going to be really quick. But, yeah, we'll see how things go. If it is quick, then yeah, I'll probably play a second game. With Patreons. A bunch of triggers going on the stack. Opponent shoots Midnight Reaper, double death triggers, double sifter triggers, repercussion triggers. Oh, what a silly card. The GoFundMe has been going well, but it has been keeping me very busy. It has been tough to get out, like, I've been able to get 3 videos out a week. It's just been really hard to get a 4th one out. Trying to do all the one-on-ones and stuff like that, so that's been a thing that's, you know, been bugging me a little bit. Just as hard as I try, like, I really wanted to get a video done this morning, and I ran into every technical problem imaginable, because I switched to OBS as my recording software now, and just trying to get that set up to interact favorably, because I edit everything on a Mac. It's just been a headache. It's been an absolute nightmare, so that's why there's been some, like, audio issues with, like, popping and clicking and stuff in some videos, because I found out that it exports an MP4, and iMovie hates MP4, apparently. So we draw Mangara, and yeah, that's not really what I was looking for. So here's the problem. If we Mana Geyser and then just get crushed by a board wipe, then life's going to be bad. If we don't cast a bunch of things, we're just going to get overrun. All situations are bad right now. We don't have enough white to get Gisela into play, which is super unfortunate. So we're probably on, like, Neheb, Tectonic Giant. Might be able to get Bruce. No, we won't be able to get Bruce because I do want to leave up Faith Shield. That's got lifelink. That's kind of cool, right? We can draw some oh, man. Maybe we just expose everything and just try to yeah, maybe we're doing that. Okay, start with the Mana Geyser. Yeah, I really wish we drew a land right there. Oops, need double red. Oop, that one doesn't make red. That one only makes white. There we go. Tapping the lands the right way. Play a Mana Geyser. We get 15 red mana. That is quite a bit. So, oh man, how to use that one white. Oh man. Play Neheb. Spite Mare was in this deck at one point. I kind of copied this over from my Feather Reckoner Burn deck, so that was kind of the frame that I used, and then I just kind of updated it to be Gisela. So I started on that plan, and then I kind of switched to like a hybrid combat burn sort of deck. So, you know, the best ways to generate value are generally through combat in Boros. Like, it's hard to draw cards when you're not doing that. So I switched to that model, which means I got rid of some of the Spite Mare type cards. I kept Boros Reckoner just because that one's like super crazy, but got rid of some of the other ones. Do we just tap out? I mean, does the Elementals player have a board wipe? In all likelihood, I mean, they probably would have played it last turn if they had it, but I don't know. I mean, we're getting to a place, too, where, like, we might just die to blocking. I don't know. Try this Mangara. Hope it doesn't get crushed. You know, we need to try to draw cards, find more lands, maybe find a board wipe, all that kind of stuff. And 3 red we can't do anything with. Makes me sad. Nope, Gisela is double white, and we do not have double white. Because I would have happily cast Gisela if I could have. Hey, we get 5 red mana. Nothing we can do with it. Awesome. I don't know what we got 5 red mana from, though. Magmatic Force trigger, maybe? Yeah, probably. Oh, yeah, Magmatic Force and Repercussion. That would have been it. Gonna shoot the Sifter of Skulls, probably a pretty good idea. There's a Repercussion. So nasty. So nasty. Checking the game chat real quick, see how it's going. Nothing doing. Let's see what opponents got. They had an expletive in the chat, so not the board wipe. There's a Genesis Wave, just trying to get blockers. Unfortunately, that does not trigger our Mangara. Gets 1 land. Reveals a bunch of sorceries. That's not where you want to be. They are wide open to the attacks. This beating all brought to you by Mana Crypt, because Mana Crypt is a crazy card. Mana Crypt flip and Magmatic Force. Fortunately, all of our creatures above 3 toughness. Just going to send it to our face. Not ideal. If they attack us, it's going to be really bad. Really, really bad. Generally, yes. When you play against an Atali deck, like, you have to shoot it immediately if you have something. That's just how Atali works. So it's one of those like glass cannon type of decks where, you know, if no one has anything when you cast Atali, usually turn 4, turn 5, then you're probably off to the races. If they do, I don't want to say it's complete do nothing deck. It's not like Kalia, but it's still not great. Like, it's going to be a struggle. If you didn't ramp super hard, then you know, it's just going to be tough to cast Atali. You got to get haste on it. But like Kalia is the prime example, because like everything in a Kalia deck is like 6, 7, and 8 mana, and there's not really enough ramp in Kalia to like support a casting cost like that when you're not getting those into play for free. So I think opponent went no. Oh god, that's an Ulamog. Oh, that's cast? Well, they have to shoot the Repercussion, I think, because that thing's like insane. I think we'll at least draw off the Mangara. That's something, right? Ulamog. Gross. Yeah, we get to draw. Gotta be a board wipe. Ulamog targets, Neheb, and Repercussion. Hey, the ones we wanted. There's a land. That would have been super helpful last turn. Crap. At least Mangara's still here. We can potentially gain life back, draw more cards. Those are things that we need to do. Opponent unfortunately gets blockers out of this. Because I did think about briefly just casting Gisela, swinging back in, and seeing how much we could get done that way, but with some big blockers there, that's not going to be the best for us. Back to need a board wipe, and we need something that removes indestructible for the Ulamog. Who owns this? That is Mox cards, so we can't get rid of that by killing another player, which is unfortunate. There's one creature heading our way. It's a Perforos. Ugh. I think we're just taking that. Ooh, interesting thought here. So we have Bruce in hand. If we played Bruce and put lifelink on the Tectonic Giant and went the damage mode, we would gain a fairly considerable amount of life back. But is that better than just casting Gisela? I don't know. Oh, God, he's got to seize the day. Hopefully he forgets about it. Hopefully he forgets about it. Yeah, this game is pretty close to over. All of that brought to you by Mana Crypt. Such a frustrating card. Fast mana is a broken. Still got 3 left. Don't know if he sees it yet. He's got Ashnod's Altar out, so he can get... he's also got this medallion. I mean, if you sent like Ulamog our way, it could be actually. Oh, that's a Fury of the Horde. Now it's over. Yep. Fury of the Horde is a good game. Laces out? Yeah. All right. Game 2. Yep, Fiery Emancipation is in the deck, but this game was over super quick because Atali with a Mana Crypt is a broken. And extra combat spells. Also, he flipped cards like a champ. Sometimes you whiff, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you hit Ulamog. I mean, I'm good right here. I'm just trying to figure out what we're doing for game 2. So that's what I'm doing at the moment. All right, I'm going to scoop it up right here. We don't need to see anything else. Everyone's going to die. Also, that's our Aurelia. All right. Firing up a new game. That was pretty much a non-game right there. So when I say play more removal, what I mean is play more removal to avoid games like that. You never know when someone's, not everyone... Ooh, there's no Mana Crypt in this deck. Let's get a Mana Crypt in this deck. Level that playing field a little bit. So cancel that. Do this. Get a Mana Crypt. Cut something that doesn't matter. What doesn't matter? Deck wants lots of ramp. Get rid of. Probably part with a Dowsing Dagger. Do all this. Create a new game. And yeah, so when I say play more removal, because that's how you avoid non-games. Having removal stops that Atali, at least slows it down. Doesn't make it a turn 6 blowout like we saw right there. Sometimes people are just going to have Mana Crypt, Soul Ring in their opener, Dark Ritual, whatever piece of fast mana, Mana Vault, and they're just going to be way ahead of you. And the way you stop that is by playing removal. So, you know, we badly needed like a Blasphemous Act, something like that. Even like Swords or Path would have at least slowed them down a little bit, forced them to recast. You know, if we could have shot it before the value started flying off, then that would have been really good. But yeah, that's why you want to have removal, and that's why I really don't care for removal light decks, because non-games can happen super quickly when you don't have answers. All right, we're back. Gisela, Blade of Goldnight, Game 2. We've got some ramp. It's slow ramp. We've got Temple Bell. We've got some Giant Assimilating Inferno is removal, but it's kind of slow removal. Maybe I'm not sold on that one. Cool card, but like Gisela is 7 mana, and she just comes in late. Like, it's not a card that you get down early necessarily. So this hand seems fine. I think with the Temple Bell, it's okay. Oof. Got some opponents this game. We got Omnath once again being piloted by Zombie Caller. We've got Mock playing Gargos Vicious Watcher, a deck that can get out of control really easily. And then Mugen piloting Kalia of the Vast, which is also a deck that can get out of control really easily. But at least Gargos can fight Kalia. It's something, you know, maybe keep Kalia under control. Yeah, an uninterrupted Atali is insane. If you look at like top red cards, Atali is like one of the it's in the top 10, and at least the last time I looked it was. And when you think about like what is the red finisher, people have kind of gotten away from like Insurrection, and as good as it is, it's a lot of mana. But I think Atali is like the new school red finisher. Like, and it's not that even it ends the game, but it ends the game by generating absurd amounts of value that just like you can't recover from. So that's a thing that it does. In their case, I mean, they got so many creatures, good ones too, off of the Atali. So like, you know, that's how it ends the game, just having way more creatures than your opponents. But I did see that Sunforger is getting reprinted. I'm sad that it doesn't have new art. I think it's due for some new art. As cool as this one is, I think something new school might be kind of fun. Although I have one criticism. Like, most new art has too much stuff going on. Like, they put way too much stuff, especially in like the background, and it's just like a cluttered mess. When you think about the fact that like a Magic card is a thumbnail, essentially, like you can only put so many things in there, so many details before it just kind of gets lost. And I think they do a bit too much of that now. Let's with nothing early going on. Maybe I need to drop the curve in this deck a little bit. Play the Arid Mesa, crack the Arid Mesa, get the Mistveil Plains. Oh yeah, Sunbird's Invocation. I need to think about that. That is a great card. But yeah, I do like older art in general just because there was less stuff happening. Like, things just get wild and it's hard to see the image. Like, so many things happening. Like this. This is actually like a pretty cool image, but, you know, seeing it on a small Magic card does not do it justice. Yeah, Sunforger has some like giant warhammer that's got flames kind of coming out of everything. Sounds awesome. I know Kristen wants it as a sword, which, You know, it's interesting because there's nothing on it that specifically says that it's a hammer. It's like literally just the picture that makes it look like a hammer, so you could do the art as a sword. But I'd like to keep it as a hammer. What turn is it? 2? Why do they have like 12 mana? 3 lands, Soul Ring, Signet, Crystal thing? Oh my. I am once again feeling removal light for the current situation. Hopefully they don't start drawing cards. At least when you ramp like that, you run out of cards quickly, but see what happens. Talisman for the Kalia. Also a Emerald Medallion for the Gargo. So they've got their ramp going. We're a little ways away from our ramp. It's not the best. It's not the best. That's a Basalt Monolith. That should help. Play the Wooded Foothills. Crack the Wooded Foothills. Get Plateau. Nothing to do into. Pass. So I'm not the biggest fan of Signets. Like, Signets are good, but if the only mana ramp you draw in a game is a Signet, you will get destroyed by people who draw things like Gilded Lotus, Mana Doublers, and so on and so forth. So that's why I don't like go super heavy on the Signets. I have a Kalia deck in paper that has every Signet and Talisman available, and I never draw one in the opener, and it's just the worst thing imaginable. So, you know, even when you run all of them, just, I don't know. They're good early. They lose value as the game goes on, in my opinion. And they get outclassed pretty heavily by anything that produces multiple mana. Even cost reduction. Cost reduction super strong in the late game. That's a Zendikar Royal. Oh, God. That combos with stuff, doesn't it? I feel like I ran into that the other day, as a matter of fact. His commander draws cards. I got to read this thing again. Land enters the battlefield under your control. Put a counter on an elemental you control. 8 or more lands. Draw a card. Of course it does. At least they're only on 4 lands. But, you know, green deck. Take them like 1 card to get up to 8 lands. There's a Cultivate for opponent. Ugh. No good. No good. So we probably want to do something like Basalt Monolith into Gilded Lotus, probably. Or we could think about going like Basalt Monolith. No, I don't think that makes sense. If we hit lands, we might be able to go like, oh, well, none of that's going to matter. Awesome. Refilling the Omnath deck right here is probably not ideal. Hopefully we draw mana ramp. Not really. Not really. That hurt. That hurt. Yeah, time for game 3. We're already dead. Things are looking bad. That's a Mana Geyser. That could actually bail us out at some point. Let's see. Play the bull. Ooh, Sacred Foundries in the graveyard. Awesome. Awesome. Play the Bloodstained Mire. Crack the Bloodstained Mire. Get a mountain. Play land tax. Play Skull Clamp. And pass turn. Also, we're going last in this game, which is, like, terrible for things that just happened. Like, you know, if we're going before the Kalia player, then we get a couple things out of our hand before that wheel happens. Because we're going after the Kalia player, we do not. Why do I like Boros so much? Because I like attacking people mercilessly. I've always enjoyed the combat step. It's one of my favorite parts of the game. Anything anything to do with creatures, I've always liked. Attacking with creatures and killing creatures are generally my two favorite things. So, yeah, Boros. I get to attack things more. Also, like, I don't know, like when you play on Magic Online a lot, you'll see a lot of the same decks over and over again. Now, I don't see it as much anymore because I don't really play open games, but when I used to play just open games in the queues, you'd see like the same 10 commanders over and over again. And especially when I was playing a lot of 1v1, it was like every blue X combo deck imaginable. And it's just like, ugh, just so nauseating. So, I wanted to play a commander that was different, and my initial thought was like, how can I bring red deck wins to commander? And as I was Google gather searching everything, I did stumble onto Aurelia. Not who we're playing today, we're playing Gisela, but, very similar in what they do. Most people will confuse the two if if they do not play Boros and you tell them that you're playing one of them. Now there's a million elementals on the battlefield. Cool. Just what we wanted to see. I always just kind of liked angel decks. Angel decks were just like, I don't know, it was a thing. Like back in the day, actually what happened is it was like 2005 or something like that. I was in college. One of my buddies was in college, and he got one of his buddies. Me and him were playing like a little bit, and he talked to one of his buddies like, oh yeah, we were playing a little bit of Magic, and he's like, wait, what? I have a bunch of old cards. So he went and grabbed all of his cards, and he had this like old school Reanimator deck. And when I say old school, I mean like it's like a late 90s thing. It was whatever sets were around, like 99, 2000, 2001, that kind of era. And he had this really sweet Reanimator deck, and I fell in love with Rhea, and Akroma was also a thing. So like for years and years, like through most of the mid 2000s, I played like a Esper Reanimator, which the only thing it was trying to do was get like Rhea, Akroma, Angel of Despair, Titanspouth Tyrant into play, and that was a super good time. And then I naturally just looked for like other ways to cast angels as I kind of went on from there. So for like a little while, I was playing like Jeskai Angels before Jeskai was a word. And I was having some success with that. Because I used to play Magic Online. I used to play a lot of, what's it called? Extended Two-Headed Giant was the casual format of the like mid 2000s for me. Extended's basically dead. Magic Online doesn't support Two-Headed Giant anymore, which is super sad. Yeah, the 4-hit on Aurelia is awesome. It's super, super cool. That's a Bedevil for opponent. Yeah, that's good. Gonna shoot this Nyx Bloom Ancient. All about that. Nate talking about me getting dunked on by one of his favorite decks. Yeah, I'm not loving it. Not loving it. It's unfortunate how much fast mana you need to put into decks these days. Like, there's a pretty good amount of mana ramp in this deck, and because we haven't drawn it in either game, it doesn't matter. You just get crushed by someone who's got fast mana. That's the format now. It's pretty disappointing, I'll be honest. That's a land tax trigger for us. Grab some lands. Fast mana is kind of like the antithesis of what Commander's supposed to be about. It basically just removes the ability for people to interact because they don't have time to do so. And of course, true to land tax, we draw a land per turn in addition to the 3 lands that we grabbed. Gotta love land tax. So I mean, we probably play a Tectonic Giant and get immediately shot. Sounds good, right? What could be more exciting than that? Let's play the Command Tower, I guess. Play the Tectonic Giant. Yeah, Mana Crypt Devils is insane. I think I filmed the game yesterday or something with that. Did I post it? I don't know. All the games blend together now. But I ran into that deck very recently when they went turn 1 Taurine Mauler, turn 2 Commander. Immediately, and then there was like a burning inquiry or something. They immediately had a million things on the battlefield and like were presenting table lethal by like turn 5. Oh, Mana Crypt. No, I think white is very underpowered right now because there is no white card that is anywhere near as strong as a Zendikar Resurgent. Like, just there's nothing that does that. And one of the things that makes white weak right now also is the ability for most of the other colors to get some amount of like a burst of additional mana. So you see like Gaia's Cradle. Gaia's Cradle gives you multiple extra mana typically. There's a Sky Shroud Claim in the graveyard right there. There was this Nyx Plume Ancient. Like that Nyx Plume Ancient was in play on what, turn 3, turn 4. White decks, you have artifacts, and beside artifacts, you don't really have anything that's going to ramp you like that. Like all the stuff that says get 1 land per turn, it pales in comparison to someone that like taps a Savala one time or taps this Gaia's Cradle one time. And, you know, now they're into some crazy huge thing on turn 5. And so, yeah, white doesn't have the ability to produce like white literally needs a mana geyser. That's what white needs. They need something that can produce like a bunch of mana really quickly. Maybe probably only does it one time, but you know, like a white mana geyser would be exactly the card that it's missing. And they probably need like 2 of them. That would help a bunch, but even then, the top end of what white can do is just not as strong as like Zendikar Resurgent cast your entire deck. So that's a problem also. So you have this problem of like, it doesn't ramp good enough. The card draw is still not great. You know, I see, you know, there's a couple new things. And then your top end of like things that you can close the game with also aren't as good. Your best cards are like Elish Norn, True Conviction, and maybe a token spell at the end step like White Sun Zenith. But even then, that takes a lot of mana, and it's hard to produce that much mana early in a game. So yeah. It lags in almost every category. The only category it doesn't lag in is slowing the game down and, you know, making it so people can't do things. You can blow things up with removal, or you can stack some hate bear to the point where people can't cast spells. And, you know, that's the only category that I think that mono white truly leads in. That's a Bane of Progress. What does that do? It gets rid of Zendikar's Royal. That's got to go. It gets rid of a Zendikar Resurgent. We lose land tax. We already got the lands. That's okay. I'm a little sad about the Skull Clamp. It's going to slow Kaalia down, losing their rocks. Hopefully some of these like creatures or elementals or enchantments doesn't. No, there's still a million creatures in play. Well, that all happened. Yeah, someone said like Dockside Extortionist. Yeah, white needs a Dockside Extortionist. I get that it has Smothering Tide. Smothering Tide is a little bit too good, honestly. It's in this weird place of like, it's so good that if you don't shoot it, it will probably just kill you. And like Dockside Extortionist, it's just harder to interact with than that. It just happens all at once, and like, sure, you get a lot of mana, but it doesn't like keep happening unless you blink it or something. But yeah, white is it's still missing some stuff. Because like when you add red to white, it gets way better. The ability to like have double strike, have haste, have extra combats, all that sort of stuff is like really good for closing out a game. Double damage. There's the Kaalia. No haste on the Kaalia. That makes it a sad Kaalia. Let's read this guy again. Terror of the Peaks. Spells your opponents cast that target it, cost 3 additional life. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, it deals damage equal to that creature's power to any target. Yeah, we want to start blowing stuff up. Opponents are tapped out. Oh, our hand is atrocious. There's a Signet. Huh. Well, I don't think this is the Mana Geyser turn. Let's poke into Kaalia just and try to get the card draw mode on Tectonic Giant here. Someone said the Iona ban is pretty crippling. I don't know. Like, Iona is good, but Iona also costs 9 mana. All the terrible things that could happen, like all the terrible things that have happened on this board have happened well before an Iona can be cast. Like, a mono white deck has no way to get to an Iona that fast, short of having a God Hand. So, as much as I want Iona to be the card, like, it really wasn't. We're going to go with the exile mode here. We need to look at some extra cards. Mana Geyser into Signet just doesn't seem very good in this moment. We'll see what we exile off the top. That might change my mind, but... Smothering Tithe, Force Fruition. Lightning Greaves, Faith Shield. Well, that's not the most exciting thing that I've ever seen. Choose an exile card. You may play the exile card until the end of your next turn. I think that's going to be the Lightning Greaves. And the other one just goes into exile permanently. Okay, opponent gets to block if they want to. White's best finisher is Approach the Second Sun. I haven't used Approach the Second Sun that much. That might be true, but it does seem like it benefits a lot, specifically if you're playing blue. Or at least like some other color that draws really well. By itself, it still seems like not the best in mono white just because it's hard to actually draw the cards to do that. Let's see. We've got Sacred Foundry still in the deck. No, Sacred Foundry's in the graveyard. Okay, that being the case, we'll just play a Plains till the end of our next turn, huh? No one's played a board wipe yet. Might as well get this terror in, right? Yeah, tripling stuff is absolutely insane. Doubling, like, anything that says do double in Commander is already really strong and, like, probably game ending if unchecked. Double mana, double card draw, double damage. What else gets doubled? I don't know. Anything else that you can think of that double spells? Double spells is an insane one. Doubling anything in a Commander is super, super strong. Tripling anything in Commander is absurd. Just absurd. My hope for the white card of that cycle, whenever that rolls around, is that it's not life gain. Like, I'm super worried that it is, because they've kind of just gone the most obvious route with all of these cards in the cycle so far. The green one makes mana. The red one does damage. So, in all likelihood, the white one will probably be triple life gain, which, meh, unless they're going to put like a life gain payoff in there or make more better life gain payoffs. Not super excited about that. One can hope that it's like triple tokens instead. That would actually be pretty cool, but... Yeah, like, Approach the Second Sun on the Kaikar deck makes sense, because Kaikar draws cards easily. Drop a Skull Clamp and then, do the thing. But yeah, as a mono white deck, it's like, I'm not saying don't run it, but I'm still saying that, like, it's just way less good than if you have another color that actually draws cards. But, if you're running it in like a Mangara deck, that could make sense. Oh, actually, one thing to think about too is Skull Clamp really gains a lot of value now that you can just throw it on your commander and then draw cards that way. That probably, well, I mean, that helps every color, but mono white probably needs that help more than most. I mean, honestly, I hope that the white card of that cycle is Triple Strike, but that's so not going to happen. From everyone that I've bugged about it, apparently the problem with Triple Strike is that they have to rewrite the rules of the combat step to make that work, because Last Strike doesn't officially exist in the rules. But when you think about, like, what were the two mechanics in Ikoria? Companion and what's the other one? Mutate. I mean, those things break like 1,000 rules. Rewriting the combat step to have Last Strike is way easier than everything that Mutate and Companion break. Mangara is overrated. We'll see. We'll see. Um, we don't get to look at it right here, which is pretty annoying. Can't say I love that, but Mangara is interesting in that it's not proactive in any sense. A 2/4 with lifelink, if you're trying to be aggressive, like you're playing a Boros deck, I could see the situation where you may not run it because it just doesn't further your game plan that much. It helps you draw more cards, which is great if board wipes start flying, but yeah, I don't know. The Skull Clamp rule is actually like a really big thing. Like, I think honestly you put Skull Clamp in like 90% of decks now. Still a huge army over here. 4/5 coming at us. Awesome. It's just what we wanted. It's going to get +1 for each elemental you control. That seems like a lot. Oh my god, it's got 13 power. Well then. Taking a hit for 13, I guess. Guess that's where we're at. Someone mentioned their 8.5 Tails deck. 8.5 Tails is interesting. When 8.5 Tails works, your opponents do nothing, and it's the worst experience imaginable. Because I've had that happen a few times now. Chaotix has an 8.5 Tails deck, and he got it working, and you do nothing when 8.5 Tails is at its best. Which, like, it's kind of unfortunate. That's White's style of play. Is, if White's doing everything right, you can't play cards. Not particularly fun. At least, like, the green deck generally kills you quickly, even though I get annoyed about it every time it happens. The white deck just drags it out and makes it take forever. Mono white stacks is, like, the worst thing. I don't mind stacks if it's, like, slam big creature, drop a winter orb, and then kill you. It's like, okay, fine, I get it, game's over. It's when it's just like, no, you can't cast stuff, but I don't really have a win condition either. That's not a particularly fun game to play. Lyra has the highest win rate of all your decks. Win rates in Commander are super interesting. I was going to do a video on it. Someone was poking around Reddit and collecting as much data as they possibly could on win and loss rates from Commander videos on YouTube, and there's a lot of problems that go into win rate. A lot of it has to do with your opponents more than it has to do with your own deck. It's easily, like, if your opponents don't run enough removal, it's easy for you to win a game. If you're more invested in the game, it's going to be easier for you to win a game. There's a lot of reasons. There's a lot of things that, like, throw everything kind of out of whack and just make win-loss rates, like, not a super effective stat for gauging a commander deck. I mean, if a deck wins a lot, sure, there's some merit to that, but it doesn't tell the whole story. It's sort of like win-loss rates for pitchers in baseball, because it's opening day, so we're going to talk about baseball a little bit. Who was it? Jacob deGrom had an incredible ERA the other year. Was it last year, I think? And but got, like, no run support and pitched, like 10-9 or something like that, which is, like, fine. But, he's one of the best pitchers in baseball because his team wouldn't score runs for him. So Commander deck's kind of the same way. Win-loss doesn't tell everything. It may just mean that you're beating up on people that are playing, like, really casual decks. And that's something, but the Mets are cool, but I'm actually a Yankees guy. I root for the Mets when the Yankees get knocked out. Fortunately, that doesn't happen too much, but so usually I just kind of check in on the Mets in the postseason, see how they're doing, or I'll watch a game if the Yankees aren't on that night. That's Chris Sale's entire career in a nutshell. Nice. I haven't followed him a ton. Where is he at? The Red Sox now? Someone said, so their Thraxamundar deck is pretty bad, but its win rate is high because people keep killing themselves and just ignore them. Yeah. So, one of the things I kind of like about Commander, and I was kind of thinking about it the other day when I was doing a lot of the content creator stuff. It's just that, like, a game of Commander is kind of these little stories. Like, it's not just this, like, when I think of like a game in the Pro Tour, I think of like win and loss. Who was the best player? Who had the best deck? Did they win or did they lose? Did they win the big prize? Did they not? In Commander, it's kind of this story of like a lot of little things that can happen. There was a situation the other day where like I tried to resolve a mana doubler and someone shot it, and then the person after me played a mana doubler and they're stuck. And like that kind of dictated a large portion of the game. That one choice of the opponent deciding to use the removal then to get rid of our doubler means that there was no removal for the other doubler, and that player got to have a go of it because of it. So I think that's one of the cool things about Commander. It's not just like who won, who lost. It's like all the little things that kind of go on in a game that somehow matter toward the end and affect the things that happen overall. While I was talking, by the way, Kalia went on the attack and slammed in this Avacyn, so that's a thing that just happened. It's a pretty serious card. That was 2 years ago with the Grom? Okay, yeah. Time just blends together for me now. It all is just, it's a piece of wax. Ooh, that's an Aurelia. That's a card, right? We need more white mana. Mana guys are awkward in like turn 6. It's, if we could stall the game out to like turn 8 to use this mana geyser, that would be so much better. What are we doing? If I play Aurelia, then I know people are just going to attack me to death, and it's like, that's not ideal. But if we Aurelia, then we can use Tectonic Giant twice? Oh, man. Kalia, Avacyn, followed by Armageddon is disgusting. Yeah, Avacyn, Armageddon, that's usually a game ender right there. Let's play a Plains. Start with that. That puts us on 6 mana. Does make us short of Gisela. We would have 1 white. Actually, we could get Gisela because we could get the Signet into play, and that would give us a 2nd white. So that's not awful. The question, though, is do we go the Aurelia path instead and try to get multiple triggers off the Tectonic Giant? The problem is that Gisela like helps with blocking. All the damage gets mitigated when it comes into you, so that's probably where we want to be instead, actually. Yeah, okay. Am I burning the mana geyser right here? I think I'm burning the mana geyser. Do we do in the second main? Do we need to attack with Gisela? I don't know. Gisela's a flying blocker, which is good against Avacyn, although... How big are these? These are 3/2s. Oh my. I think I'm just going to attack with Tectonic Giant first, get a look at the next card, and then kind of make the decision. I think that's where I'm at. So we'll attack into Mugen once again. Tectonic Giant trigger. Exile the top 2. Sun Titan and Neheb. Oh my. That's interesting. Sun Titan gets back a Sun Forger. That's kind of cool. Man, those are both good. Oh, this is what I talk about with Tectonic Giant. Having to exile one feels awful. We have a lot of cool things in the graveyard, so I think we're going to choose the Sun Titan and lose the Neheb. As much as I like lots of mana. I'm good. Thanks for asking. I didn't have enough white to cast Aurelia and Gisela. That's the problem with the mana geyser. It would have been 5 to cast mana geyser, which leaves 1 white open, And then I can cast the Signet, which gives us a second white. So we can choose between Aurelia or Gisela. Can't get both. I don't really want to show the Aurelia yet because that's going to be kind of the big explosive play that I think is going to take us home. So now that we're in the second main, maybe on the other hand we just like hardcast Sun Titan. What does that do? Is there any like cool ramp? We can hardcast Sun Titan, get Basalt Monolith, get the Lightning Greaves and the Signet. Yeah, I like that. And then we get to keep the Mana Geyser. That all sounds good. Now we've got a plan. Ooh, and we get a Terror trigger. So that's going to be, what, 6 damage? Shoot the Omnath, because that thing's crazy. Sun Titan, get the Basalt Monolith. Use the ability. Terror trigger needs to resolve. This thing looks really cool. First kill. Looking good so far. Keeping commanders out of play. I like that. Next we make 3 mana, get the Boros Signet. Then make some mana, cast the Lightning Greaves. Greaves on the Sun Titan. Now we're actually not in a terrible place for the first time in 2 games. Still not an amazing place. Still like a lot of damage on board. What are we at? We're at 24. There's an Avacyn. But next turn, I think we have enough white mana that we should be able to Mana Geyser and maybe get Aurelia and Gisela into play, and then we can do some wild stuff. Doc, I'm not sure. We'll feel it out. We'll feel it out. How many utility lands do I pack? In a Boros deck, quite a few. Most of my decks run... what do I run? My Angels deck runs 7 plains and 5 mountains, I think. So what's that, 12 basics? And that's about what I'm at. And that assumes you have fetch lands. If you don't have fetch lands, then that count will change. You can up the basic count a little bit. But I run many, many utility lands in a Boros deck. Usually some of the big ones, that's going to get shot. Terror going down. Sadness. I did think about protecting that momentarily with Lightning Greaves, but yeah, I run quite a few. So Makokoro, Gaia Reach are some of the big ones. Usually like 2 Strip Mine, Tectonic Edge, Ghost Quarter type cards. Ancient Tomb if you got access to it. Hainware Battlements, Flamekin Village, that kind of stuff. The haste is really good for a lot of decks. Homeward Path is like a must. I have to run that in like every single deck. And then there's usually like a couple that'll change, that'll vary deck to deck, but... Is there a mono-white Exile Wrath viable in EDH? There are 2. There are Final Judgment and Descend Upon the Sinful. They say exile all creatures. They're 6 mana, so they're not like the quickest things ever, but, you know, they would totally work right now. Winds of Abandon, forgot about that one. That's a solid card. I need to test with that a little bit more. I have found that card's a little bit skill intensive. Knowing when to overload and when to just like single target shoot something. I have had the lands backfire on me. Are we going to take another hit for 14? Do we have to trade? I don't want to trade in the Sun Titan. Let's go to 10. If we go to 10, that's... Oh, Sun Titan can do so many cool things. Yeah. So, all right, let's think about our next turn. Next turn, we're going to try to cast Mana Geyser, which we'll need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mana from, which leaves 2 white. Now we'll have 3 white. We might be short. Oh, that's so much damage. So if we block there, then we're still wide open to the Hydra. Let's just take it. Whatever. Let it roll. If we're going to die, we're going to die. Yeah, losing the blocking with the Sun Titan means we probably just get run over by the green deck, so you know. If one gets us, if one doesn't get us, the other one gets us. What do you do? Might as well try to keep the value. Maybe they won't attack us with the Hydras and shoot everything under the sun. Omnath trigger. Let's see where this goes. To the face of Kalia. Down to 20. Wow. Yeah, see, like, the Omnath opponent's not really making friends at the moment, so, you know, there's some chance we don't get attacked by our opponents, so as much as I don't like having my life total at 10, there is a chance that opponents make decisions that end up with us not dying. Someone talking about needing a legendary Aven Mind Sensor. Yes, and make it 2 mana. That is a card that is needed for CEDH because Aven Mind Sensor is often too slow. There's a lot of turn 1, turn 2 Vampiric Tutors, and Vampiric Tutor is insane. As a return to Wild Speaker, opponent's going to draw 45. Cool. 8 is the actual number. Nope. Opponent's got an unwind. Not drawing cards today. Arcbond seems good in this deck. Potentially. I've tried using it with Sunforger in the past. It wasn't my favorite. It's a little awkward to trigger sometimes. In general, I found that I liked the consistency of Sulphurous Blast better. But it sort of depends on what's going on the table, too. Oh, that's a greater good. Now we're screwed. That was a really good bait by Mockfire. That was such a good bait. You guys don't even know. Because this card is insane, especially in this deck. So their commander makes things like almost free, and every creature in the deck is huge, so they can basically draw their deck now. Would Drannith Magistrate be too much if it was legendary? It's already a little too much. Not being able to cast your commander sucks. It feels terrible. Like, the only place that card makes sense is CEDH because the game's ready to end at any moment. But, like, in any sort of casual game, it's just too much. Too much. That's where we're at with cards, though. They're all crazy, crazy strong. Like, when I kind of mess around and just make designs, I posted a little design on Twitter the other day. You guys should follow me if you don't already. Twitter.com/Commander Replay. But posted some card designs, and, you know, some people were like, those seem too strong. I'm like, these don't one-card combo with anything, which makes them way less strong than, like, half the cards printed this year. So, I don't know. Does power level even matter anymore? Drannith Magistrate is like, you don't get to play the game. Awesome. Yeah, I don't know. Cards are super, super strong. I don't know, like, where do we go? Where are we going to end up at the end of this year? Like, the power creep is so unreal. And what are they? They have like 70 commanders or something in the whatever set. That's what's supposed to be like summer or fall or something like that. I guess we're heading toward the fall. I can't even imagine what, like, December is going to look like with just the crazy, crazy power level of stuff that's been coming out. Boots for opponent. Yep, that can shut off the spot removal. It's probably the one way you get rid of Avacyn. Like, the thing that I worry about with the power is that you can't rotate commander. Like, once powerful stuff is there, it doesn't go away. And, you know, it kind of changes the format forever. So that's a concern. Like, You know, when you print crazy things that draw the entire deck, i.e., like any green card, any green creature with greater good now, it's just there to stay. In some sense, I think that like removal needs to catch up to the threats, but I don't know that having like super generic answers to everything for like 1 and 2 mana is exactly healthy either. But you know, when you have things that like end the game when you untap with them, the only logical place to go is, well, the removal probably needs to get better, but I don't know. Yeah, I mean, Stacks is White's. This is a question in the comments, but yeah, Stacks is White's biggest strength, especially at like a more competitive setting. If you're playing casual Commander, sure, you know, everything's fine. But, you know, if you're talking about getting more powerful combo decks and crazy amounts of value, Staxing hard is probably the thing that White can do best. And I'm not sure that like it doesn't have a lot of other options. Like, you know, if you wanted to build a strong White deck that doesn't stacks, you've got what? Who's the bird guy? Teshar combo. That's a Teferi's Protection, by the way. That can keep us alive. That's huge. You've got Teshar combo. You've got Odric, which can be like pretty quick if you don't run into too much removal. Elish Norn is interesting, but it can be a little bit slow. But like other than those, I don't know. Like how strong do you get? I guess God Eternal Catcher is decent. But, you know, compared to someone just like tapping Selvala for like 10 mana, what do you have against that? Curse Totem, what you have for that. Oh, God, I got to think about this turn now. Okay. We got to make sure we have enough white mana. Sacred Foundry's in the graveyard. Makes me sad. Do we just Aurelia and hold up Teferi's Protection? That seems like a pretty legit plan. Maybe get back like a land and a Sun Titan. How much mana do we have? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That'll put us on 8. It's one short. It's one short. Maybe we go Aurelia, get back some lands, which will then... which that would allow us to cast Gisela, theoretically, if we Mana Geyser. I've been talking too much. I haven't been thinking about the game enough. So we went... So I guess play the Mountain. And actually play the Tectonic Edge. Probably shoot this Cradle at some point. Oops. So we went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That leaves 3 white mana open. Not enough. It could be enough for Gisela in the second main. No, because we'd have to do it all now. Crap. Ugh. Just needed to ramp better. Didn't ramp that well. Yeah, let's just go for Aurelia then. It was an Aurelia deck all along. Does anything over here have reach? Not that I'm seeing. It's good news. It's good news. Oh, opponent left their Avacyn on tap. Means we're probably going to lose the Tectonic Giant. But I think we need to look at more cards still. So that's going to be... Oh, man, that thing can do so much damage, though. Blah. There's also not a safe place for Sun Titan to attack. Yeah, none of that's ideal. Maybe we should have went Gisela instead. Blah. We could attack with Sun Titan. Yeah, let's... actually, yeah, we can do that. Maybe we'll do that. We can attack with these and then just like Teferi's Protection in response to blocks. Yeah, we'll just send everything amok. Exile some cards. Sun Titan, we need to get a land. Get Sacred Foundry. Yeah, white is a very good support color. Like, adding any other color to it makes it infinitely better than it is by itself, which is also largely true of, like, most of the other colors, too. Like, by itself, blue is not the best color. It has some pretty glaring weaknesses. Get back to Sacred Foundry. Oh, we're at 8. So low. So low. Where's that True Conviction at? We're going to be needing that. Arcane Signet, Dictate of the Gods. Oh man, Arcane Signet's funny, or not Arcane? Dictate. Yeah, let's just get Dictate. Why not? Do it for the memes. So far, Tectonic Giant, okay. Like, it's keeping us going. It's still not my favorite source of card draw. Like that, things we've exiled that we haven't been able to cast. What do we got in the exile pile here? Faith Shield. Neheb, that's a big one. That one hurts. And Arcane Signet's, like, fine. I'd rather have it than not, but... Yeah, opponent attacking in ways that would not be good for us. So we're just going to peace out right here. So Teferi's Protect, and then we'll get back to telling stories to chat. Don't even have to focus on the game at all. Keldon Firebombers is an interesting card, and one that I should probably run more for those not in the know. It says, what? ETBs, it's 5 mana creature. ETBs, sacrifice, each player sacrifices all but 3 lands. Or is it 5 lands? It's 3 or 5, I can't remember now. But it really trims down the lands, and yeah, is good against people who like to ramp and put 47 lands into play. Bad against a Gaia's Cradle, though. So things that need to happen. Right now, Gargos needs to be shot. It probably needs to get shot again. Because they do have a Cradle that'll produce extra mana. This is not great. Yeah, because I did exactly this. I don't know, it was a couple months ago. Decided to bring out my Gargos deck, and I'm like, hey, it's a casual game, and I went like Soul Ring, Gargos, Greater Good, and then just did absurd things, because Gargos and Greater Good together are absolutely insane. Opponent going on the attack. There is an Avacyn over there. I'm not sure. Not sure if they have a plan yet. Rune Flare Trap. Rune Flare Trap I have to look up. Why not Tectonic Edge the Cradle? Simply because I missed it. Next turn, though. Next turn I'm planning to get to it. Kind of focusing a lot on chat. Usually like 80% of my focus on chat, 20% on the game, so, not going to get the best plays ever. What we say, Rune Flare Trap? I know I've seen it. It's been a while, though. If an opponent drew 3 or more cards this turn, you may pay red rather than its cost. Deals damage to target player equal to the number of cards in their hand. I just don't think it's good enough, honestly. Sure, against the exact situation of a green deck with greater good, you can probably kill them. But it's the cards like Rhystic Study, Mystic Remora, where they draw 1 at a time, and they just kind of stay at like a constant 6 or 7. Like they're not drawing... it's not a green deck where they Rishkar's Expertise and draw 20 at a time, but I don't know, because, if it doesn't kill them, is that card at all worth it? Like, it's only worth it if it's going to kill them. In my opinion, it's probably just not worth a card slot most of the time. Unless there's like a specific thing, a player is going to cast Greater Good because you play them a lot, or they're going to slam a Consecrated Sphinx, then that's a little different. But in general, probably not running it. Dingus Egg does 2 damage when someone's lands get destroyed. Yeah, it's a silly card. I'm not really I'm kind of off mass land destruction right now because every green deck ever runs Heroic Intervention. Most Boros decks, you're going to run Boros Charm, Teferi's Protection if you have it, and Armageddon is really bad when your opponents have one of those. Winter Orb is much harder for them to work around. No Orm's Thunder in this deck. Didn't go super heavy on the Sunforger. Wasn't sure if I was going to include it right away. Just kind of threw it in at the last minute. I was trying to figure out exactly how many creatures I was actually going to have versus how many burn spells and things like that. Kind of went for a hybrid build of the deck. So got about 18 creatures. Well, down to 17 now. Got some of the swords because they're still great for generating value. Also the Pro Red, really good for this deck. Just because we have a lot of burn, so keep our own stuff alive. So yeah, it's kind of a hybrid. It's got some burn. We got Stuffy Doll and New Stuffy Doll in the Brash Taunter. We got a bunch of mass burn up here. Kind of not feeling the Jaya's Immolating Inferno. Always want to make it work, and it's just never as good as I want it to be. Its best home is probably a Feather deck. So still trying to live that dream. Haven't actually resolved Brash Taunter yet, but it looks really close to Stuffy Doll, and Stuffy Doll is a very reasonable card, especially in a deck like this. I need to use Shadow Spear more. It's been a weird card. It's been a bit underwhelming in the games I've played it. I saw it and I thought it was just going to be immediately it goes in every single deck, and I found that it kind of doesn't. It kind of doesn't. Against the Zavazin right now, yeah, it would absolutely be helpful. But, there's other ways to deal with this Avacyn, and the difference between Shadow Spear and Luxodon Warhammer not giving that damage kind of matters a lot. The damage that you get off of Luxodon Warhammer is really relevant, especially in a combat deck where you're probably doing other stuff. Give it double strike if you can, attack twice if you can. Those things add up. And I don't know. Yeah, the utility on Shadow Spear is great. In this moment, it would be fantastic because we just need to gain life. Especially if we get life gain on the Tectonic Giant. But, yeah. I don't know. A lot of times I feel like I just want, if I'm trying to finish it, I just want Luxodon Warhammer instead. Because I did test it a bit with Aurelia, and I'm like, this seems strangely underwhelming. I guess that brings up a great question too, is when you're building your deck, you've kind of got these choices of cards like Shadow Spear where you get a lot of utility out of it, but I wouldn't say that it gives you a ton of raw power. And, on an individual card level of deciding which cards are going to give you raw power versus which cards are going to give you a lot of utility. And, with equipments, a lot of times you want to feel the equipments a lot of times when you're playing them, because I know that one's not crazy expensive mana-wise, but I don't know. It just, it didn't feel super impactful when I was playing it, and it was definitely being an issue. Opponent sending a large Primordial Hydra over to Looks like the Elemental's opponent, and it's now unblockable. This will be most of their life. This is probably actually one of the best things that we could have hoped for, because they used a bit of mana doing that. Now they're going to draw probably 1 million after the combat step. But tapping out that mana, I think actually makes me happy. Hopefully they don't go too wild right here. That does drop Omnath down to 4. Puts him in easy range of the Kalia, if Kalia wants to take him out. Yep, there's the greater good, so opponent's going to draw 16 and then discard 3. Yeah, Swiftfoot Boots, Lightning Greaves, that type of stuff is everywhere. Is it hexproof only on the Shadow Spear? They are certainly in heavy circulation, so, that does give a lot of value. I guess it just depends on what you're doing. My decks tend to be a little bit lighter on spot removal. I am still a heavy board wipe kind of guy. So I guess with that being the case, Shadow Spear is not my favorite. If I played like more white and black spot removal, I'd probably be more on board for Shadow Spear all the time. But yeah, I don't know. I guess I guess I've tested it in Boros decks. I haven't tested it in a lot of other places. With Boros, you want to keep the pressure on. Like, you want every card in your deck to really have a lot of impact and really just kind of hit hard, and and try to get some utility out of it while doing so. And I just felt like Shadow Spear wasn't living up to the hitting hard portion of that equation. But yeah, certainly a lot of utility there. Just the hardest part is literally devoting a deck slot to it. I haven't seen more Child of Alara, but I haven't been playing open games of Magic Online. I've been playing a little bit less than usual. Also, news of the virus getting worse has not sat real well with me. Especially, I live in Texas, which Texas has been one of the worst places in the world for the virus. So I've really just I've shut down a little bit. It's not so easy to keep making content when the world's kind of in flames. So there's a someone said generous gift in chat. There's a Hero's Downfall on the Gargos Vicious Watcher. Gargos will get a fight trigger. And this is all good. This is why we're phased out right now. Probably the worst thing that opponents could do is leave open mana when we phase back in. It's literally the last thing I want them to do. Yeah, Child of Alara is super strong, though. Honestly, too, the thing, like I said, I haven't been playing as much Magic Online, in open settings. I've been playing mostly Patreons. But the other thing is that there's been so much going on. There are so many new creatures and so many new things that it is genuinely difficult to try all of the things that have just changed. The death rule change makes a lot of commanders operate differently. It really powers up Skull Clamp. And the Command Zone did some video on something that was it? Who's the Bant guy? What's his name? That does blinky things. Can't think of his name right now. That is broken because of the rule, because of the death trigger change rule now. So, and then on top of the fact that there's just been insanely powerful commanders in every set. Also, those sets come out 2 at a time. And I don't know, there's got to be at least 50 new legendary creatures in the past 3 or 4 months. Rune is the one. There we go. So yeah. Well, opponent dies to something. Oh, Arc Bond. They die to Arc Bond. Fortunately for us, we are phased out and protected. Yeah. And opponent's life totals are super low. Feeling pretty reasonable about our current prospects. I forgot what I was saying. Someone asked, do I like the goad mechanic? I do like the goad mechanic. I don't run it as much as I should. I really need to start using Bloodthirsty Blade more. That thing is so incredibly disruptive to creature decks, and it's like literally everything you want. It's your opponents attacking each other and not attacking you. Like, both of those things are so good, and I get wrecked every time someone puts a Bloodthirsty Blade on my stuff, and like, I play the type of things where I generally have one of the most enticing creatures to put Bloodthirsty Blade on, because I like attacking things a lot. Like, I'm not a value kind of player. People that like to play a lot of value stuff, sure, a Bloodthirsty Blade is like a little bit less threatening there, but I like things that attack really hard, so yeah. Bloodthirsty Blade is super disruptive. It's a really nice piece of protection against creatures in general. And yeah, the goad mechanic is really cool. It's surprisingly disruptive. If you've ever seen Mono Red Grenzo, the 2-mana one, I think a lot of people get heavily focused on that exile mode, but that goad mode is super disruptive. Oh, Marisi? Yeah, Marisi's ridiculous. Mockfire, I think it was Mockfire who's in this game with us. He's got a Marisi deck that it's taken me out behind the tool shed a few times. It's pretty good. Yep. To those who just tuned in, I have phased out from a Teferi's protection. And I did it in response to all of our combat triggers because we didn't have any safe attacks for our Sun Titan and our Tectonic Giant. So we got the value, and then we phased out. Yeah, good point about the Bloodthirsty Blade is that it's also good against some value creatures because now it forces them to attack, and they can't just like sit back doing their thing necessarily all the time, and you know, you force them into bad attacks and then they get killed. So yeah, Bloodthirsty Blade is a card that I need to run more of. Mob Rule is a super sweet card. You know, part of me thinks that I've been like overthinking my Aurelia decks, and maybe I just need to run Mob Rule with Aurelia. That's like basically one card plus your commander, probably win the game. Like, either win the game, kill at least a player, maybe two. There's a Divining Top for opponent. Triggers, ooh, Mana Gorger Hydra. Mana Gorger caught. You know, I'm surprised I don't see that as much as I feel like I should. That card's still really good. Especially now that like opponents are trying to cast, you know, the game has kind of moved to like a fast, cast more lower cost spells as opposed to like cast more 8-drops kind of style of play. So like, yeah, this thing just gets big in a hurry, and it has trample. Tectonic can in fact connect that last 3 damage, and yeah, we should start thinking about my turn a little bit. So ideally I want to get Gisela and this Dictate in, because that'll be dumb. And that'll be double, which means this 3 would turn into 6, which would turn into 12. And then we could potentially do that twice with Aurelia. That's going to be the plan. We just got to make sure we have enough mana to do that. Is Mob Rule better than Insurrection? Yes and no. Yes, in that it's way less mana. The difference between 6 and 8 is pretty sizable. But occasionally you'll see a weird split of creatures on the board where, like in this game with the Hydras versus like the Elementals, you may not be able to grab all the things you want to grab at once. So like Insurrection would have been the better of the 2 cards, but Insurrection's really expensive. And like, I don't know that, well, we have Mana Geyser, but without the Mana Geyser, I don't know that we would have been like necessarily on Insurrection mana or in the position to really cast Insurrection. So the lesser mana cost of Mob Rule makes it really strong. Thank you, Abfelix. Oh, opponent goes down. Oh my god, that's a Sire of Insanity. Well, that just happened. Our hand is not protected from that, so I guess we just play Gisela. There's a Hainware Battlements. Play the Hainware Battlements. Sire of Insanity is a pretty crazy card. Cast this Gisela. Make sure we don't mistap anything. Use that red, I guess. Use this one right here. That one. Put some boots on the Gisela. Opponent has 2 flying blockers. Send everything. Yeah, let's go for the damage trigger this time. 3 damage each opponent. Sun Titan, what are we getting back? Lands are always enticing, but we've also got like Sunforger, Temple Bell, Skull Clamp. Probably just get a Sunforger, right? Just in case. No, we don't have the mana for it, but... Use the ability. 3 damage each opponent, which is 6. Opponent's down to 3. Yeah, this should be a good game because we can attack with the... Actually, no, they can block the Tectonic Giant. They have not blocked Tectonic Giant in a way that will kill it, so this will be a good game. All right, what do you guys think? One more game, and should I stay with Gisela, or should we go for, like, non-Boros deck? Three damage, once again. So, Tectonic Giant actually really good this game. So, like, let's see. Yeah, just grab a land, I guess. Not that it excels. It's not, like, insane on any single trigger, but, you know, we got like 4 triggers off of it, and the utility between the two, it's better than I thought. And, like, I don't know, it's awkward because I still don't love the exile mode on it. Like, we lost things that I liked, but it also gave us additional cards, and then it closed it out at the end. So damage that doesn't need to like non-combat damage, super relevant. We got 1 vote for non-Boros. We got 2 votes for non-Boros. 1 for Boros. I still prefer Aurelia, but I've been wanting to test out Gisela for a long time. I haven't played a Gisela deck in like any serious capacity, more or less ever. I tried some like bad versions maybe like 5 or 6 years ago, but got non-Boros. I don't know. We got a stack of decks. Here's all the decks. There are many. Literally an overwhelming number. Let me see what's going on with Patreons, and see if we can get another game going. What decks have I wanted to play for a long time? Iroas? Nah, not Iroas. I tried playing some Iroas a couple weeks ago. I got excited to play Iroas, and then I realized why I don't like Iroas as a commander. I think Iroas is cool in the 99 of other decks, but by himself, I feel like he's just a bit hard to turn on and is a little bit slow. What decks do we have? Any OG Teysa? No, I don't have an OG Teysa. No Shrine deck yet. I really haven't built many of the new ones. We got to vote for more Gisela. I feel like I should change it up. That's 2 games with Gisela. Also, I feel like the curve in this deck's a little weird. Probably need a couple more Signet style stuff. Definitely been slow to the punch. Sir Gwyn. Maybe on the Sir Gwyn. Switching off Boros, telling the chat, or telling the Patreons, what to play. Do I have non-Boros decks? Do those exist? Bassandra. I actually do have a Bassandra deck randomly because I tried to build Aurelia with Zerta, and then got it like an hour into that process and realized that the commander also needs to have an activated ability, so just hastily switched it to Bassandra. That deck was highly mediocre. Highly mediocre. Maybe... Oh, no. It's a lot of red. Oh, man. Rexiel. You want some Rexiel? Someone's going to bring a Shrine deck? All right, what do I have that's, like, kind of janky? Jegantha Tap Stuff. There we go. That's the deck for me. Nope, got to do the thing. Remove the commander, re-add the commander. This is the easiest way. I have so many decks that it's like impossible for me to select the deck in the deck selector. It's just so hard to scroll when you have that many decks. So, yep. All right, game's up. Waiting on some Patreons. And we will be underway shortly. No one look at that. How do I get back to the thing? I'm lost. There it is. So yeah, Jegantha Tap Stuff. A deck that I've been wanting to replay. Probably need to make a couple updates to the deck. Haven't really done that yet, but hopefully soon. I do not have Kresh the Bloodbraided as a commander. Though I've been thinking about it more. I don't play a ton of Jund. And, like, I probably should. Like, you know, there's some cool stuff there. It cares about a lot of the things that I like, which is, like, killing opponents' creatures and making my creature really big. That's generally my MO for Commander, so. Ur-Dragon. Ur-Dragon's kind of weird. I played some Ur-Dragon in paper not that long ago, so I've got my Ur-Dragon fixed for a little while. I need a better Saskia deck, honestly. That's been one that I've been meaning to revisit for a long time, and I just haven't. God, there's so many things you could do with that deck now, especially with, like, all the kind of fast mana stuff, Selvala, Fabro Elder, all that. Ooh, what? Make tons of mana and just do whatever you want. Pick your favorite creatures. In my case, probably just Aurelia. More things with Double Strike, but... Gyros is fun. Yeah, I haven't even looked at that one. I don't know why. I just don't play Jund that much. Like, it's just something about it. I just, like, kind of missed all of the Jund commanders. And, yeah, I don't know. I did play Vevictus a couple times on the channel. Vevictus was real weird, but... Have I ever played Gishath? I think I've played Gishath. I have a Gishath deck. I was working on a video for Gishath a while back. I was trying to do a budget thing and then never actually finished it. Thanks, Doc. Thanks for the heads up. Getting our last player loaded in here. And we've got our last player, so let's get this game underway. And this will most certainly be the last one because I'm starting to lose my voice. Have I ever made OG Rafiq or Ural? Did I play Rafiq? I think I played a Rafiq deck. I can't even remember now. I feel like I touched Rafiq somewhat recently. Ural I have not built, but I've thought about it a bunch of times. I should probably just do it. I thought about trying to do like an old school visit all of the old commanders. That used to kind of be a big deal. Well, this hand is awkward. Where's the green mana? Oh man, if this made green, this would be pretty ridiculous. I don't think we can keep this though. Like we don't play Magic for a long time. If we don't catch a green source or land, ugh, that makes me sad. I'm not looking to play something that risky right now. The first game with Gisela did not go well. The second game almost turned into a blowout. So I'm looking to go just a little bit less risk averse. Does that make sense? Those words make sense. Less risky is what I'm trying to say. What's our commander type? It's an elemental elk. Any of these going to get us a scry? That's an elemental fox. That'll get us a scry. We can't cast that one yet, though. I think it's good enough. It's like not my favorite. We'll keep. Kiora is a little bit of ramp. Would love to find a cultivate. Playing Magic is so 2019. With all the power creep going on this year, yeah, I feel like 2020 might be the end of Commander. By December of this year, games will end on turn 0, with everyone playing a bunch of free and alternate cost spells. Yeah, Saskia is pretty awesome. Saskia Infect. I'm not so much an Infect guy. I'd probably just make it like mass double strike, mass double damage, and everything. That all seems pretty crazy. That's kind of my speed. One of the problems with Infect is like the Infect creatures themselves. They have Infect, and other than that, generally aren't very exciting. They're kind of small. They die to a lot of things. I'm like, it's not my game plan. Don't know how any LGS will manage to stay open through 2020? Yeah, that's actually a fantastic question. There's a Cultivate. That's a good place to be. Get this Path of Ancestry into play. And pass like that. Yeah. I don't know. I don't envy what any LGS owner has to go through right now. It's going to be super, super difficult. I only hope as many as they possibly can stay open. And that, like, the ones near me can stay open. It's about all you can really hope for, I guess. Try to do everything you can to support your local LGSs. Saskia Wild Pear is your jam. Yeah, Saskia Wild Pear is a cool deck. I've been seeing that a bit. I ran into Jim at GP Vegas last year. He was playing that deck, and it looked really, really cool. I'm thinking about doing something similar with that, running Wild Pear, Lurking Predators, Sunbird's Invocation, and I think there's one more that's like really similar to all of those things. And just kind of using all those enchantments and like doing wild stuff. Just, having your creatures trigger into more creatures seems like a really good time. Will to cultivate into existence? Yeah. Would love to find a third land, though. But hopefully as long as Kiora's follower doesn't get shot, life's going to be good. Ooh, that's a Machias. I forgot I put that in the deck. Play the breeding pool, pay the life. Get the follower into play. No scry. Pass like that. We are playing Jegantha Tap Stuff Tribal. A deck that I've been wanting to revisit. Probably needs some updates. Gotta just tweak a couple things. Get mana curve, card draw, removal. All that sort of stuff worked out. But, deck that I've been wanting to build for a long time. I just want to like tap things and activate abilities and do fun stuff. Take a look at what our opponents are playing. We've got Kangi Area Keeper being piloted by Mockfire. I filmed against this deck. I think it was yesterday or was the day before. And yeah, the deck is still really good. It just generates a lot of value. There's a lot of recursion. It has a lot of ways to pump the birds up. It's a really solid deck. It's got a lot of removal. It's just like it's really well balanced. It does a lot of things well, and you got to be careful. Sometimes they drop a Dovescape on you, and then you can't cast non-creatures, and that gets really awkward. So hopefully that doesn't happen today. Next, we got Doc Chalk playing Ghoul-Caller Gisela. Oh, really? Oh, punished. Punished. You stream sniping? Mock, you stream sniping me? I just wanted... Well, it's going to be really awkward if we don't draw a land. I was afraid of that. No, Kangi is still broken on MTGO. You cannot cast the kicker portion of it, which does reduce the power quite significantly. Jet Medallion for the Ghoul-Caller Gisela. By the way, if you like my streaming, if you like what I do, be sure to hit the subscribe button. Be sure to hit the bell icon to be alerted of new videos. I was planning to release a video today, but it's going to have to be tomorrow. We're going to do a bunch of stuff, and it was just taking like way too long to get it done. So decided to live stream today instead. But should have a brand new video for tomorrow. Opponent's going to Kodama's Reach. Hope we can hit our land so that we can, not Kodama's Reach, but cultivate. I just noticed this. They're like kind of the same art, but reversed. Like, they are really, really similar. Never actually stopped and thought about it. Who feels like there's going to be a land on top? Do I have Progenitus? No. There's all the creatures in this deck have tap abilities. So you'll see Zerta, Kamal, Niv Mizzet, Mikaeus, Kiora's Follower in the graveyard. Land on top, got there, yeah. All right, not getting punished. Not getting punished. Play this Cultivate. If we didn't catch the land right there, then I would have known that, like, I should have stopped after the last game. Opponent tapped that white mana. I almost thought Mana Tithe for a second, but Enlightened Tutor is fine. Go get your Mana Rock. Yeah, Spell Pierce would be terrible also. I was pretty nervous, though. Started holding my breath when I saw the mana. Oh, what colors do we need? We have double blue, double red in hand. That can make double red. That's a blue. Probably maybe like think about some other colors. Mikaeus can be cast off that. Got blue, green, red. Yeah, maybe we'll go like Swamp and... Is there like double green in this deck? I forget what's in this deck. I should probably... Actually, I can look over it over here. There's some triple reds. We'll want to be careful of those. There's a triple black. How are we looking on triple black? Terrible. Looking terrible on triple black. Double green. Double green we've got covered. So I think red and black. We've got a triple black and a triple red that we're going to be thinking about. So drop the Swamp in, Mountain into the hand. And Mockfire gets the Ape for blowing up our thing. Yeah, we probably could have thought about a white source in there too, but I don't think there's that many white creatures in the deck. So we don't need tons and tons of white mana. Path of Ancestry's got us covered for now. Take a peek at the deck. So, Jegantha Tap Stuff Tribal. Every creature in here has the ability to tap. Got a Godsire up here. Legacy Weapon is some removal that I thought would be fun for Jegantha. One of the few things that doesn't tap. Valkyrie is a double white that does tap, so maybe we should have grabbed a white, but hopefully it's fine. Hopefully, go away. Go away. How do I make you go away? Oh god, opponent's ramping like... Oh, dear god. So there we got Mana Crypt, which I'm sure they grabbed with the thing. Yep, grabbed that with the thing. Dropped in a Gilded Lotus, and has now followed it up with the Rhystic Study. That all seems pretty good. What up, Ada? Ape Beatdown. Yep. Opponent's gonna reanimate. What are they Are they reanimating our gonna reanimate our Kiora's follower? Really wants the mana ramp. I don't blame them. After what Mock just did, yeah. I'll take mana ramp in any form that I can absolutely get it in. Because they're gonna have what? That's 3, 5, 8. 8 before their land drop, 9 if they hit a land. That's a lot of mana. Yep. The full art force just shown? No, I have not seen the full art force. Is it in the Discord chat? So they have just spoiled Force of Will. Is now a full art in Double Masters and is pretty crazy looking. It looks pretty cool. And best of all, as far as I know, it was done by a non-problematic artist. So that's something you got to watch out for these days as well. Spider Umbra. Yeah. Should introduce it to our opponents. Did I do that, by the way? Oh, our final opponent, I think I missed the last one, is... Oh, God, I can't say it. Varathian? Varathian, there we go. Sisay, playing Sisay Weatherlight Captain. They're going to dump a Spider Umbra on it. You know, the Totem Armor mechanic is, like, pretty good. It really protects a lot of things. It's pretty sweet. I should probably use those a little more than I do. Brings it back to our turn. We draw the last card we wanted to see, Godsire. Drop this mountain. Let's see. We can go like Zerta Boots. Doesn't seem awful. Yeah, it seems... actually, ooh, we can go... Yeah, let's go Zerta Boots, and then next turn we'll go Jegantha. And that seems like it should be decent. So, cast Zerta. Oh, yep, get punished by the Rhystic Study. Just let them draw all the cards. Here you go. Draw cards. I planned my turn poorly. I need to play low-curve decks. Low-curve decks get around Rhystic Study so much better than the style of decks that I like to play, which are full of 6 and 8 drops. Oh, God, I should have used the Scry. Oh, I'm so bad at using Path of Ancestry. Why am I so bad at using Path of Ancestry? Blah. Blah. No one saw that. No one saw that. So put the boots on the Zerta. And Mockfire will continue to receive beatings from the ape, as he has both shot our things and has ramped and drawn like crazy at this moment. And we know what's in the deck. Eric, I don't think you need a foil artist proof of Aurelia or Lyra. You do not need them. Just get the real things. Get the real things. I still don't own the guild kit version of Aurelia. I really want to get 1 or 2 of those in paper. I just didn't see them in trade binders very much when, after that came out. And yeah, it makes me sad. Do need to get some of those at some point, but they're not the cheapest things ever. You want to make an enchantment EDH deck? Ooh. The standard that a lot of people play is Karametra. I don't know. I look at Karametra and I think, like, play all the creatures, ramp like crazy. That's what I kind of see when I look at it. But that's one of them. You could do... Oh, what else have I seen? I mean, a lot of them you can kind of just... Like, you could do Captain Sisay. Oh, by the way, this is Captain Sisay Shrines, by the way. They did say that before in the chat. Pretty sure they said that in the chat. So, Captain Sisay is cool if you want to do the Shrines thing. Who else? I saw one a long time ago. I don't know. A lot of times with the enchantment commanders, you usually just use the commander for the colors and, maybe some value or something. Hana Ship's Navigator is not, like, the worst thing ever. Many enchantment decks kind of end with you casting... What's the white epic card? Can't think of the name of it right now, where you get an enchantment each turn. Tuvasa. Oh, yeah, Tuvasa's a good enchantment commander. There you go. Estrid also. Yeah, those are good ones. Those are good ones. Commanders that I've never played. Commander 18 was a weird year. Bolas Citadel, what? We're at that point of the game already? Man. We need things that blow up artifacts and enchantments. Where's all that stuff at? So we start the free casting. Gravespawn Sovereign. Tap 5 untapped zombies you control. Put target creature card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. That's pretty solid. Maybe a little overcosted and like a little bit low on power and toughness, but once it's in play, potentially very powerful. Casting that off the Bolas Citadel. Yeah, we need like an austere command. What did I pack for removal in this deck? There is an austere command. We'll need to find it. Did either Sworn Adjudicator? Yeah, there it is. That can blow up enchantments, but it's slow and mana intends to do so. Anything else that blows up enchantments? It doesn't look great. Doesn't look great. There's a Heliod's Intervention over there. Legacy weapon. Those are all a ways away, so opponents are going to value for a while. Bitter Ordeal. Search target player's library for a card. Exile it. Gravestorm. They exile Austere Command. I would have went for the Dovescape, personally. Diregraph Colossus coming into the Rhystic Study. Yep, just draw all those cards. We know Mock has board wipes in his deck, because I've played his deck a lot, which is unfortunate where we are in the turn order. We're going to play our stuff, and if he has a board wipe, he's probably just going to drop it, and we're going to get crushed. It's not super ideal. Aura Shards. Yeah, maybe we should add an Aura Shards. Let's go ahead and make that change. Figure out what to cut afterwards. There's a Mangara in the deck. Maybe that's a little too... maybe Spike Shot Goblin's a little too janky. I don't know. Aura Shards is a mean card, but super needed in this moment. Let's see what Sisei's got. Do they have a Wooburg stack? That's white and black, red, blue, and green. They do have a Wooburg stack, so they can get something. Although Sisei's power is kind of low. For a 2-drop is like not the best place to be. Maybe a legendary land, maybe like an Oath of Nissa. See what they grab. Maybe this needs to be the deck with Lurking Predators, Wild Pair, and all the ridiculous stuff. I don't know about Wild Pair just because, like, I don't know if the numbers are all going to match up, but, like, certainly Lurking Predators and maybe Sunbird's Invocation. Sanctum of Tranquil Light. Huh. Oh, right. It's a shrine. You can pay a bunch to tap a creature. Costs 1 less to activate for each shrine you control. Well, it's going to take a little while for that one to get going. Hey, Simon. Sisei coming our way. Rude. Even doing anything. I'm playing a tap creature deck. Duh. Attack the bird deck. Bird deck's got strong stuff. Also, they ramped like crazy and now have Rhystic Study. We go down to 34. Well, there's the Aethersworn Adjudicator. It's going to take a minute to get that into play, though. So probably Jegantha this turn. Hope to not get crushed by a board wipe. And then next turn I'll have to do the math to see if we can get Aethersworn Adjudicator into play. We will get a Scry right here, which I kind of wish I got a Scry last turn. Although, Adjudicator is good for the current board situation. Can't pay, because we can never pay. Probably try to Scry to a land, though. Oh, Samud is so good. I think we need a land, though. Oh, man, it makes me super sad. Put it to the bottom. Ugh. Put the boots on, Jegantha. Yeah, with all the colorless costs, I don't think we can do that much. I suppose maybe we can get Mikaeus into play. The question is a board wipe about to follow? Send Zerda into the birds. Oh, wait, Mikaeus, it would be X0, and that would not be ideal. Mikaeus for X0 would not be good, so yeah, we're just going to pass like that. Do I have an updated Aurelia list? No. No is sort of the answer. There are a lot of new choices for Aurelia this turn. This year. There's a lot of 4-drops, like Mangara is super interesting, Terror of the Peaks is interesting. What else has come out recently that is interesting? There's a million things. It's difficult to really kind of pare it down. The big question is, how many creatures do you want in your deck? I'm trying to get my creature count back up in Aurelia. I'm trying to get to like the 20 to 24 range. While still running all the equipments. It also depends on like how deep on the equipment thing you want to go. Are you running like Fervent Champion and Kazul's Toll Collector, that sort of stuff, and really trying to go in on the equipment synergies. So that's kind of a question. If you're not doing that and you're just like more value combat creatures, then obviously that changes your choices. If you're running a little bit less equipment, you can get more creatures into the deck, but. Opponent doing stuff, by the way, drops a Vanquisher's Banner and now dropping a Warden of Evos Isle. So looks like they're going on the big value turn instead of trying to wipe the board turn. I can get my most recent Aurelia deck for you, but it's still a little equipment heavy. When did I update this last? Updated this 4 months ago, so this was like Theros Beyond Death. Was the last time I updated the list. I'm still kind of working through all the new stuff myself. The list is in chat now. Mindshrieker, bird's the word. But yeah, no, there's so many things that have come out this year. I really don't know. Like, if you're looking for like best in slot, I think the thing that I can tell you right now is just like pick cards that synergize with each other. And even if they're not like the absolute best in slot, you'll still get some really good things happening. So, Tectonic Giant is super spicy. Saw it in the last game with Gisela, and also had Aurelia in play. And, the fact that we got like 4 triggers off of it, really, really helpful. It may not have won the game if we didn't. We may have just run out of gas, may not have had enough damage. So, that's one that's certainly vying for inclusion. Man, the 4-drop slot is so crowded in Aurelia now. Gustcloak Savior, flying. When a creature you control becomes blocked, you may untap it and remove it from combat. It's actually a cool mechanic. Someone on Twitter, I think, was talking about how they wanted that mechanic to really make a resurgence in a big way, but it's just like, it's cool. It's great for like limited and draft and stuff like that, but As things get more and more powerful and things are more combo centric, it doesn't do quite as much, but still cool. Could have used it in the last game actually because of we didn't have safe attacks for Sun Titan and Tectonic Giant. My thoughts on Masterwork Ingenuity. I've typically don't run it. The problem being that Boros doesn't draw the best, and if that's the only equipment you draw, then it's kind of awkward. So the way that I like to build decks, I like to generally build for consistency. So, if, like I said, if the only thing you get is that Masterwork, then it's not the best. But you can potentially do wild things, like having 2 Feast and Famines or 2 Fire and Ices is ridiculous. Like, it's just insane. So it just depends on, like, how, I guess I'll use, like, swingy is the word, maybe. Like, you might be able to do some really wild stuff having Masterwork, but some of the time it's also, like, not going to do what you want it to do. So, like, if you're comfortable with that, if your meta allows for that type of stuff where not every card needs to be, like, the most hard-hitting, super impactful thing ever, then absolutely give it a go. But, if it is a hard-hitting meta, then I'd probably skip it. Witch's Cauldron coming into play. World Queller. I gotta look World Queller up. Is that the one that eats all the lands? World Queller. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may choose a card type. If you do, each player sacrifices a permanent of that type. You know what? I've actually never run that card. Maybe I should. It's a 5-mana card, so completely reasonable. It's interesting. Beginning of your upkeep, you may choose a card type. If you do, each player sacrifices. So you have to sacrifice 2, which is, like, maybe not the best, but can definitely keep things trimmed down. Although I guess you could choose a permanent type that you don't control any of. That's kind of cool. I'll have to give that a look. That seems interesting. Never tried it. Verge Rangers has really impressed you. It's been decent for me. It hasn't been, like, game-ending. Like, it's not Oracle of Moldiah, but it's not been bad either. The information, I find, is really, really helpful. I've had a problem with it. It doesn't stay in play very long when I play it. Like, I get maybe 1 turn out of it, and then it gets blown up. In the Angel deck, I've been able to get it back a little bit because there's a lot of reanimation, but other decks don't reanimate quite as effectively. So my problem has just been keeping it in play, and I haven't had a great look at it yet as a result. Dread Presence trigger. What do they do? Shoot the mirror entity. That's a great idea. I'm all on board for that idea. Opponents can untap a land with the Kiora's Follower. Cemetery Reaper, sweet card. I use that a little bit in my Dark Ascension Zombies deck. Mach has 13 mana with a draw engine and 2 cost reduction. That's a great update, by the way. When you put it like that, we should definitely focus them super, super hard. I should start doing the math to see if I can get this Aethersworn Adjudicator into play, because that would be super cool. All right, so blue to cast it, black and white to activate it. The Zerda will remove the activation colorless cost, which is good. Then we just need 4 colorless, which we do have. Yeah, so I think we can go Aethersworn Adjudicator, put some boots on it, tap it, and blow up an enchantment or a creature. Creature-wise, they're good, but I think Rhystic Study is really the issue here. That's a Black Blader Forge. That's pretty good in a Sisay deck. It makes Sisay hugely deadly. Also, you can tutor anything in the deck. Also really good. Oops, forgot to press the button. Yeah, I'll have to check out World Queller. I've been trying to test a lot of the creatures with Aurelia. in my spare time, like I did on the live stream, and just some games when I'm playing late at night when I can't film, when everyone's asleep. And still got more to go. Still got more to go, but haven't got to like any super conclusions yet. But a lot of things too, like when the cards are just good and you're trying to figure out like which is the best, the question that'll come up is like, what are you playing against? The thing that you're playing against more might make certain things better than others. If the card is just generally good, then I'm sure you're not in too bad of a spot. What card I've been looking at? I keep talking to Kristen about it. I feel like I need to be playing Flametongue Kavu again because, when you look at like how value-y everyone's commanders are now, just a thing that comes in and shoots a commander for 4 and gets it out of play seems really good. We got a little bit of a look at Terror of the Peaks in the last game, which I think is another great place to be. I'm kind of going back to the Glorybringer plan. I'm trying to get that tested out because creatures are so strong now. Just leaving creatures in play is such a bad place to be. So I really want to kind of ramp up the removal for creatures and trying to do it in a creature-based way so that you can put swords on things and do all that cool stuff. Yeah, 4 and 5 mana in Aurelia is really difficult, especially 5. There's a lot of really cool things at 5 mana, and you can't run them all. Like, it's just not a thing you can do. Like, do you run Adriana? Adriana is awesome with Aurelia. It's pretty good by itself. It's really good with Aurelia. Do you run, like, Cavalier of Dawn is so much value. It's removal. It's, like, everything you want. Cavalier of Flame is mostly damage, but has, like, crazy potential, especially in the late game. You just want to, like, end it. Oh, well, Smothering Tithe changes everything. Mock's got 12 cards in hand, which is not great. Huh. Well then, man, I really want the Smothering Tithe, but I don't know that we can get everything all at once, and that's super disappointing. I'm going to hold back a turn. I think I'm going to stay on the Aethersworn Adjudicator plan. I really want to get rid of this Rhystic Study. So, tap Jegantha. Cast the Aethersworn Adjudicator. Rhystic Study will trigger. I think we could pay for that, but I want to hold that up just in case. Can't use it on generic cost. Makes me sad. Nope. Yeah, I wanted to play a Smothering Tithe. I'm worried about, like, we're kind of in a place where, like, someone has to wipe the board soon. I don't want to get the Smothering Tithe eaten. So I'm thinking about, like, who's going to play the board wipe when? It's kind of the big question. If they don't play it, it's going to look super bad, but I also think just getting this Aethersworn into play, ready to go, is exactly the place we need to be. Yeah, let's get rid of this Rhystic Study. It's just doing way too much. So black, white, and shoot it. Could potentially untap our thingy, but I don't think that does that much. I think that's all we can do. What does it do? Target creature can't block. We can untap Aethersworn Adjudicator at the last minute and maybe like eat something in blocks. Because it'll only be a single blue to untap. So I guess that's what we're doing. Pass the turn like that. And no attacks. FTK is a 2-for-1. That's actually card disadvantage in multiplayer. No, I mean it isn't. Like, I know it's easy to think that way. Like, yes, if you just like 1-for-1 shoot something. If it were a Doomblade, yes. But the fact that it's a creature that stays in play that you can like put a sword on or attack with, you can put like, you can double strike it with Silverblade Paladin or something like that. It's not nearly as bad of card advantage as you're thinking. You're having something in play while they're not. That's like a lot of tempo that play buys you. So, like a Doomblade, yes, it's not the greatest card advantage, but you also need to Doomblade things periodically, just to get them out of play and just to make sure they don't win right now. I think Flametongue Kavu kind of lives in that same space. It's one that I've been like trying to force myself to put back into decks, but there's so many cards now that just that's a tough choice to make, but I don't know. It probably makes sense. Yeah, there are too many good things for Aurelia now. You can't run like 65 creatures with Aurelia because there are that many good ones. I did forget to move the boots back to Jegantha. I did kind of mean to do that, but removal hasn't really been flying here. And I don't know that Jegantha is like necessarily the target even. Like, there's a Sisay on board. There's a zombie opponent that's gone wild. Like, oh, that's a Soul Catcher's Airy. Well, yep, that one's going to have to get shot also. Yeah, that's kind of why I went for the Aethersworn. Just get this thing into play and get it going. Augury Owl, sure. We've got a Kamal Pit Fighter. Oh, is it going to be able to shoot anything? Can shoot that bird. Can shoot that bird. That bird can pump itself up, though. That bird's pretty big. That bird's pretty big. Angels Humans with Samut. I have not tried it. Augury Owl's going to scry 3. Yeah, maybe this deck needs another board wipe. Maybe we just want to be like that wipe the board first kind of deck and then do our thing. Murder of Crows. Yep, it's a pretty good bird. Won some drafts with that thing. Yeah, Samut is insane in this deck. You can untap something and it gives your stuff haste. Samut is like the most beautiful card for this deck. Had to put it to the bottom because we just need like mana production. But, hopefully we've got a way to get it back. I forgot what kind of tutors I put in this deck. I tried to keep this thing relatively casual. So, I didn't go too wild with the tutors, although we got Fauna Shaman to tutor stuff up. Seemed like a fun, on-theme way to do so. Please go away, Microsoft. Yeah, every time you read Samut, it's like she gains a new keyword. Yeah, that's how I feel about it, too. I had a funny moment when I was playing Aurelia in CDH pods the other day. It was a while back. It was a couple weeks ago. And they're like, wait, and it's indestructible? I'm like, yeah, there's just a million lines of text on this card. Massive birds attack our way. This is going to hurt. I wonder if this is a board wipe because they're not leaving up blockers. Do they all fly? Oh, crap, I forgot to untap. Well, this is going to hurt. This is going to hurt. Yep. Just sit here and eat all this, face tank all this damage. Forgot to untap the guy. Sword of Truth and Justice trigger. Untapping Mother of Runes is instantly lovely. Yeah, I could see that. This deck probably needs a Mother of Runes. Do I have a Captain Sisay? Probably should if I don't, right? Yeah, there's Captain Sisay in this deck. Here's a spicy one. Master of the Wild Hunt. There's one that kind of goes under the radar a bit. Elvish Piper. Drop stuff in. Yeah, we got some fun stuff in here. Bloodline Keeper, just because it's fun. So yeah, opponent like more or less halved our life total right there. Good times. This is what happens when you don't play Flametongue Kavus and shoot everything immediately. Living Inferno is a tap ability board wipe. Did I include it? I did not, but I think it was in the initial draft of the deck. It's just like you can only put so many crazy expensive things in the deck. I figured that like Visara is generally better because Living Inferno will get itself killed quite a bit, and I didn't really have like a great way to protect it, so. Ishai Ojutai Dragon Speaker, yeah. I want to see if I can build an Ishai CEDH deck that's like basically just Voltron and counterspells. You get it into play super quickly, and then as opponents cast stuff, it just gets huge, and you attack them in the air, and then try to like counter and kill anything that matters. Maybe it'll work. Haven't decided who the partner should be. Maybe Bruce. Do a Jeskai thing. That seems like it could be cool. Avatar of Woe is cool, but you rarely get the cost reduction off of it. Like, so many things need to go right for that cost reduction to work. I just decided to go with Visara because she's cool. Visara's cool. She got flying also, which I like. Never know when you're going to need that. Myriad Landscape, going to get sacrificed for opponent, going to get some lands. Maybe this deck just needs like more like Thran Dynamo, Hedron Archive type of stuff. Yeah, it definitely does. It's the colorless parts of the mana that are the problem. Go Crom, Jeskai Flying Tribal. Yeah, that's a way to go too. Crom is pretty good. But Bruce really gives it that that Voltron kind of feel of now it's huge. Yeah, I don't know. Thrasios is like overrated. Thrasios is in like most CDH decks and just like, maybe overrated is not the word. Overpowered, I think, is the word I want. But just like too much Thrasios. No one needs that much Thrasios. Why did they make a commander that's so easily broken? Bant is the new Jund. Change your mind. Yeah, Bant's pretty good. Simic in general, Simic is just unbelievably strong now. So anything that contains Simic is going to be very strong. Carrion Feeder for opponent. Yep, that's a sack outlet. Cards that I would like to draw. I think I would actually like probably like 1,000 Year Elixir off the top so we could double shoot something. Probably where I want to be. Ishai and what's the Dimir partner's name? Silas Wren, there it is. Maybe. Esper's not my thing. I'd probably go Bruce. Which is Cauldron. Opponent's gonna gain a life and draw a card. Yep. Murder of Crows will do a thing. Opponent did reanimate a... Oh my. They reanimated the Mirror entity. An opponent is playing a tribal deck, so that could get a little wild. Someone's going to have to play a board wipe eventually. It's unfortunate all of these birds fly. This deck doesn't really have the tools to like deal with that. May need to get Niv Mizzet just because it's a flying blocker. Bruce with Immolating Soul Eater is nearly a one-shot. It is in fact a one-shot if you have enough life and your opponent has like if they lost just a little bit of life. I've been doing it with Molten Steel Dragon. Molten Steel Dragon is a little bit better just because it has flying built in and the evasion's super important. Immolating Soul Eater unfortunately does get chumped by like any mana dork ever, so You kind of probably need a third card in there to really make it work, to just, like something with trample or flying or something. But yeah, Molten Steel is silly. I did have a deck. I didn't get to play it a ton, but I was testing around that concept of like, how consistently can you early game Molten Steel Dragon or Soul Eater, and then you want to follow that up with like Faith Shield, Silence, Lightning Greaves, just anything that can protect that combo. Just to make sure you don't get it shot, because obviously people are going to shoot it if you're trying to one-shot them on like turn 4. Also, there's a big cost, too. Like, if you pay all the life and then it gets shot and you don't gain the life back on Bruce, then it's a real bad time. But it is really funny. Opponent equips the Blackblader Forge. Sisei is a 12/12. It's huge. We getting a stack right here? Yep, activate the Sisei. See what they get. Speaking of opening hands, you ever wonder how, like, Perforos always has Norin and Norin always has a Perforos in their opening hand? Like, just every single time that happens. Sanctum of All! I gotta read this one. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may search your library and/or graveyard, for a shrine card and put it onto the battlefield. If you search your library this way, shuffle it. If an ability of another shrine you control triggers while you have 6 or more shrines, that ability triggers an additional time. That's pretty cool. That is pretty cool. Opponent a little bit slow to the punch. They do have a 16/16, though. They can point that somewhere if they want to. Hopefully not in our direction. We are not doing that much. We just want to tap things. No Wilderness Reclamation or Seedborn Muse in this deck. Seedborn Muse is like a disgusting card that, in my opinion, is like ban-worthy. It's such a dumb card. Wilderness Reclamation would probably be okay. Yeah, in this deck it's probably fine, but yeah, I don't know. I just don't like Seedborn at all. Like, it's up there. For me, it's up there with like Cyclonic Rift and, other really problematic cards, but I get it. It's really, really strong. I think my biggest problem is that, like, they get like 3 times the mana. Like, it's basically what? Tripled mana, essentially, kind of. You get 3 extra untaps. So ridiculous. Sisei going into the Bird's opponent. They're going to throw Augury Owl under the bus. Sweet. They did ban Prophet of Krufix. Yes, they did. So the problem with Prophet of Krufix is that it also gives you a way to spend the mana by giving your stuff flash. And I was playing a lot of 1v1 when that happened. They never didn't have a counterspell to back that up in 1v1. So, and I get it, like, the rules committee wasn't playing probably tons of 1v1, but, they never didn't have a bunch of stuff they could do immediately after it, so it really made it ridiculous. Seedborn Muse, you don't always have something to do. A lot of times you do, but, oh man. Prophet's ability to protect itself was just insane. Yes, the feather counters are still bugged on Kangi. Creature dies, Murder of Crows triggers, opponent loots. Are you saying, am I saying Seedborn plus Winter Orb is unfun? I forget how that works, actually. There's a weird interaction there. I think something weird happens. No, maybe it's not. Maybe it's Helm of Possession that I'm thinking of. Cards that say they need to stay tapped get weird with Seedborn Muse. There's a Chromatic Lantern, not the land we were looking for. What to do right here? You should probably leave a white and a black up to shoot something with the Ether Sworn. Seems like it would make sense. Probably need to get the Smothering Tithe. So if we tap this for white, we could then get blue and red right here, which would leave 4 left on that. Yeah, it's pretty expensive. Pretty expensive. So I think it's going to be like Chromatic Lantern Smothering Tide this turn. We actually can't even get both because we've been missing land drops. Oi. Oi. So if we went for... Wow. Wow, that's so bad. Maybe we should have went Smothering Tithe last turn. Let's go Smothering Tithe this turn. Ooh, and we have to tap out our only... Wow, this is all bad. This is all really bad. I don't like where we are one bit. Play the Smothering Tithe. Quest for Renewal. Someone said it seems good in this deck. I've got Curse of Bounty, which seems interesting, but I guess that is the turn. Just try to survive. That's what we're doing. Vanquisher's Banner still in play. So opponent will probably draw some extra cards, hopefully give us a couple treasure tokens. If we get enough treasure tokens, we might be able to activate this thing multiple times. This could be relevant. Problem right here is that we just like didn't draw lands. Yeah, I probably need to retool the deck a little bit just to like be... Yeah, it's got 41 creatures, so probably bring the creature count down a teeny bit and just find other ways to, you know, make sure you draw into more lands and draw more stuff. Sure, the curve needs to come down a little bit also. Quest for Renewal is just better. I gotta look up Quest for Renewal. I don't remember what that one does. Whenever a creature you control becomes tapped, put a quest counter on it. As long as there are 4 or more quest counters on it, untap all creatures you control during each other player's untap step. Oh yeah, that seems ridiculous. So, you know, the evolution of a deck, you start it kind of casual, and then you get ridiculous with it. So, you know, we're probably about to get schooled by this True Conviction coming down, and, you know, after having to take probably another loss for this deck, sure, you start thinking about things like Quest for Renewal and Seedborn Muse, because you get tired of losing games. Here comes Thrumming Bird. Yep. Opponent's going to draw a card. Smothering Tithe. Auto this. Freed from the Real is... Yeah, I know the Freed from the Real combo. I was trying to make it a casual deck, because if you put that in the deck, then the whole deck is just like, try to find that combo, win the game. We will shoot the Conviction when it is convenient for us to shoot the Conviction. If they don't attack our way, we may not, although it's a lot of life gain, so I'll probably do it like after, you know, attackers, blockers, stuff like that. Yep, give it a minute. I mean, in all likelihood, we're going to be shooting the True Conviction. Just waiting for it to... waiting for the right moment. There's 2 counters on the Soul Catcher's Airy also, which is like not insignificant damage. Yep, that's a Smothering Tithe for opponent. You want to know what's fun? 2 Smothering Tithes. So yeah, actually, you want what this deck is? This deck is like heavy on enchantments, so like that does make it somewhat difficult to interact with. Luckily, I play like a lot of white decks, so Austere Command usually in the repertoire, but you know, if you're a mono black deck like this zombie deck, then these are not the easiest things to deal with. You're probably looking at Ugin, and Ugin is not always where you want to be in mono black because of the exile. A Walking Atlas into play. Yep. There's a chance that we may be able to activate the Adjudicator twice. I haven't figured out all the colors yet. Actually, we might be one short. I think this red, leaving this red open, probably hurt us a bunch. So, opponent going on the attack. Gain some life off the rock. Let's start shooting stuff. So start with the True Conviction. That's the nasty one. Black, white. Pew pew. Yep, that's an accurate synopsis of what's happening. Pay a blue to untap it. Oh, this makes me so happy. You guys don't know how long I've been trying to like do stuff with this card. Ether's Sworn Adjudicator. And yeah, now we can shoot it again. This time, let's see what's attacking opponents. There's a 7/7. That's a 6/7. That's a 10. That one's got Pro Blue though. That's a 6/7. That's a 4/4. So they're all big. We got that. Do we just shoot the Smothering? Smothering Tide is probably going to be an issue. Yeah, I'll let the damage go through. I think I'm going to shoot the Smothering Tide right here because I don't want them also having mana. They've already got a lot of mana. They don't need more. So we use the Adjudicator, shoot the True Conviction, shoot the Smothering Tide. That's not zooming in, right? There we go. Both of those down. No attacks our way. Yeah, man, this bird deck is pretty good. If they could actually cast Kangi with the kicker, they probably just do that on their turn and, you know, pump them up even more, and then people are probably really, really dead. This is a cool deck. I should build this in paper. I have, like, so few of these birds, though. This would, like, not be the easiest deck for me to make. He's got a bunch of swords in here, too, which, like, I am out of swords. I am so... Actually, I have a Light and Shadow that I could spare. I think I have a Light and Shadow not doing anything, but all the other swords are used in decks. So opponents take ginormous hits. They go down to 13 and 18. They are in a bad spot. Hopefully we bought some goodwill with them, you know, saving the True Conviction damage, popping their Smothering Tithe. I'm hoping all the zombies go back in their direction. Hopefully they don't go in our direction. We're also at 15, so we're not in the greatest spot either. Yeah, I'm sure most of the birds aren't very expensive, but they're also like, I'm not convinced that like my LGSs have stacks of these birds lying around. So that's a thing also. But it's a really cool looking deck. I'll give them that. So someday. When money and time are no issue, I will build the birds deck. My next project that I want to work on right now is going to be like a fun little budget project. Is going to be Guildmage Tribal with Niv-Mizzet Reborn. I don't know. Probably just jam some combat spells in there and stuff. Seems like it's going to be a lot of fun. Celestial Gatekeeper. That is a great point. The swords are getting reprinted. It'll be interesting to see what the new sword prices are, especially like Fire and Ice. Hopefully Feast and Famine's in the set too, because Feast and Famine's insane. Was it like 60, 70 bucks? When it dies, exile it, return up to 2 bird cards and cleric permanents from your graveyard to the battlefield. That's pretty good. That is board wipe protection is what that is. They get to draw another card. And that'll trigger the Vanquisher's Banner, which will then trigger our Smothering Tithe. All about that life. Yeah, hopefully Feast and Famine, but Fire and Ice is also really cool because, like, I've been saying it for a while. I I don't have a Kyrie and Bruce in paper right now, and like a large part of that is just the swords. I only have one Fire and Ice. I've got a bunch of Feast and Famines. I was able to pick up a bunch of those while they were still like in the $30 range. I think I've got like 4 of them, but yeah, Fire and Ice is kind of the big one that I've only got one of those, and I think I only got one War and Peace, one Light and Shadow. So it would be really cool if those dropped to an affordable number. Anti-blue swords are interesting. Like they're super good against blue removal because Pongify, Reality Shift are real Magic cards. But in general, Truth and Justice and Body and Mind, not the most impactful on hit, unfortunately. Like in some decks, they're decent. This Birds deck has +1/+1 counters, has things that it can proliferate, so it makes sense there. But like in this deck, Truth and Justice not going to do much for us. I guess you got Fire and Ice. Fire and Ice is super sweet, though. Nate says he's going to crack some VIP boosters. He could be interested in trading a foily sword for a Nate week on the channel. I'd probably take that. Yeah, I would do that for a foily sword. A week, 5 days, 5 videos, 5 Nate videos. You guys are going to be in for, like, I know I hate on green a lot. You guys are going to be in for some green if that happens. Going to be probably a lot of green value, Abzan value, reanimatory stuff. I'm down. Swamp for opponent. Dread Presence will trigger. What are we shooting? Hopefully not our stuff. Oh, is it 2 damage? 2 damage and 2 life. Okay. So, Mockfire's face. Yep. Yeah, Feast and Famine's insane. The mana doubling by itself, like, think about how strong a mana doubler is. Imagine if Cage Sun said, your creature also gets pro-green and pro-black. That's essentially what Feast and Famine is. And then you can use things like Double Strike and extra combats to make it even more ridiculous and discard things and all that sort of stuff. From the floorboards, create 3 zombies. They've created 3 zombies. They are tapped. They gain 3 life. They did not pay the madness. The reason that I'm drawn to Boros, I like attacking things a lot. I get to attack more with Boros. I kind of went through that. I kind of went through it a little bit earlier also, but when I used to play back in the day, there was a lot of just like blue X combo decks. This is maybe about 5-6 years ago, and just it was really like you just really got sick of seeing the same thing over and over again. It was supposed to be like a fun format, and people would just play like the most high power blue combo decks on Magic Online because that's how Magic Online is. And I'm just like, I want to play something different, and found something that attacks twice. I'm like, this seems kind of cool, and then realized that it's extremely cool. Attacking twice in a turn is really powerful. Also, so like when I played Standard, I usually played aggressive decks, and I usually had red deck wins built. Even if it wasn't like, I usually have two decks at a time. One of them would be red deck wins, so I was trying to bring like red deck wins to Commander. Opponent does play a Fleshbag Marauder. We have to sacrifice something, so obviously the Ape. That is the least impactful of our creatures. I don't think it's going to do that much of the birds, though. Murder of Crows triggers a bunch of times. Soul Catcher's Airy triggers a bunch of times. Yep, those are all cards. Tony, you missed it earlier. People asked me what I thought about white. I gave the no holes barred opinion of white. White does not ramp as good as other colors, and it doesn't have as good finishers as other colors. So, like, at the moment I was saying that, someone dropped a Zendikar Resurgent, and there's just nothing in white that's, like, anywhere close to what Zendikar Resurgent does. So, those are my problems with white as a monocolor. I would love it if they would, fix that. But, when you look at, like, the Throne of Eldraine rares, look at the cycles in Throne of Eldraine, just how much worse the white cards in the cycle are compared to, the other cards in the cycle, which are just, like, are born to do wild things in Commander. And the white one, like if I'm thinking Circle of Loyalty. Circle of Loyalty is unnecessarily narrow, where like Great Henge is just like any creature. Why not? Like, why is the white one so narrow? Then you look at like Sir Alan versus Sir Conrad. Just no contest. Makes me sad. But I will say one of my favorite decks, and one of the things that really turned me on to white as a color, and I guess this kind of pairs into both questions, is one of my favorite standard decks was the red-white Revelark deck. This would have been like Shards of Alara standard, I think. And it was a mid-range deck. It could win quickly, but it was a mid-range deck, and you could just grind for days with that deck. And there were some like weird moments where you could have 3 Knight of Meadowgrains out. When you have 3 Knight of Meadowgrains out, nothing can attack you because you have like 6 power of first strike, and nothing in competitive standard was that strong then. So you could just like sit there and block for days. You're gaining life while you're doing everything. Then, you know, Revelark would bring back Siege Gang Commander, Murderous Redcap. Johnny Vengeant was in that deck. That deck warmed my heart. So that's also like part of my love for Boros, was just playing that deck was so much fun. When Modern first became a format, I was playing my buddy between rounds at an F&M, and he had Modern Soul Sisters, and we didn't get time to finish the match, but like his Modern Soul Sisters deck couldn't outright beat my red-white standard Revelark deck. Like, that's how powerful that deck was. Now, obviously, Modern's changed a lot since 2012 or whatever that was, but yeah, so, you know, that was a really powerful deck, and that was a really powerful standard. I'd be interested to see how some of those decks go up against like some of the more modern problematic standard decks. Champ says, White's problem in EDH are scaling and card advantage. Yeah. You know what's an interesting card? You look at things like Sarah Ascendant and what's the other one? The green one out of that cycle. I think it's out of that cycle. No, maybe it's a different cycle. What's it called? It's called Scoot Mob. White needs something like that like you can play early that scales up as the game goes along. Like Sarah Ascendant's like a little strong, but something like a Scoot Mob where it starts small, but then easily and cost efficiently gets bigger and kind of scales into the late game, I think would be really cool. So like, I don't know, maybe it's a 1/1 that you put 2+ counters on it at the beginning of each of your upkeeps, and, you know, throw whatever keyword you like on there, first strike, lifelink, something like that. So, you know, if it stays in play for a couple turns, now it's large. Holy crap, I wasn't paying attention. Mockfire just went down to a massive zombie hit. They're at -23. That's 2 days in a row that Mockfire has been the arch enemy with his birds deck. So, I don't really know what that means. It means that he needs to not be the arch enemy. But that's what happens when you have a good deck. Sometimes you're the arch enemy. So, good game to Mock. He did lose the Mirror Entity. That's good news. And there's going to be a Sanctum of All trigger. So they're going to get their library or their graveyard for a shrine. They'll get a shrine into play. That's pretty cool. That seems like it's a pretty good place to be. White does indeed have an identity crisis. WotC doesn't know what to do to make White relevant in EDH. Yes. So I've talked with Ari about this a little bit on Twitter. I usually bug him like once a week. I try not to overdo it. But the problem is that White performs pretty well in other formats, like in 60-card formats. White is decent. The problem is that like Champ said, none of that scales into Commanders. Like scales into Commander. 2/2s don't scale that well when you need to do 120 damage. Champ says we need good White cards that aren't on the level of Drannith Magistrate. Yeah, Drannith Magistrate is not fun. That is a miserable card to play against. I would even say like Smothering Tithe is cool because White needed ramp, but it's a little too strong. Sometimes it just leads to the game ending. Really mixed feelings about it. Let's see. So there's a Sanctum of Shattered Heights coming into play. I barely even looked at these shrines, so I don't really know what they do. Deals X damage to target creature or player where X is the number of shrines you control. They're going to shoot this Fleshbag Marauder. Okie dokie. Seems fine. What else does this do? Discard a land. Deals X damage to target creature or planeswalker, where X is the number of shrines. Okay. That's fine. That's fine. Mangara does seem like a very cool mono white commander. Also going to shoot our Kiora's follower controlled by the zombie opponent. Yep. Fine with that. Someone says white needs like a hoof. Yeah, the problem is white doesn't have a good finisher. So like green always has Crater Hoof, and green has like, you can either draw a million cards during the game with like 10 different green cards that do that, or you have like 10 different ways to tutor for Crater Hoof. White doesn't have any of that. Like, so even if you made a white Crater Hoof, you then need a way to be able to tutor it. Maybe Athalia's Lancers, something like that. You make it legendary, but you know, you still don't have the support to be able to go find the thing super easily. So that's an issue as well. One of the things that kind of comes up, they're like, you know, when you talk about like designing cards and stuff, people will make like, someone made a Boros commander that draws cards, and like, it was basically Simic Edric, and it would draw a card, loot a card, and create a treasure token. As cool as that is, like, you don't want to necessarily have to run that as your commander. Like, if you just had like Harmonize as a white card, you can run that. You can run that in every deck, and it doesn't matter which commander you want to run. Like, you know, it's just kind of one of those things of like, sure, you can put it on a legendary creature, and that's cool. And, you know, you'll probably run the legendary creature, but like, if you don't want to play that commander specifically, you still want to be able to draw cards just for like if I want to play this deck. Now, I get it, this is a 5-color deck. Card draw shouldn't be that much of an issue, but we haven't really drawn cards this game. But you know what I mean? Just like things that you can put in every deck, and you aren't pigeonholed to having to run them out of the command zone. Opponent can activate the Sisay. Let's see what they're getting. White does really good in Standard and also Modern. Yeah, I mean, you know, like Rest in Peace in Modern, that's a pretty serious card. I'm not sure what, like, I forget what white creatures are kind of on the scene in Modern, but, you know, Path of Exile, any deck that can run it, 4 of kind of thing. Garruk Huntsman. Going to create a 2/2 black and green wolf token. When it dies, a loyalty counter on each Garruk you control. Yeah, and that's the problem I was talking about, is that like white's good in other formats. It's just not great in Commander. So that's part of the issue. Also, you look at 2 cards like, you look at Sisay, you look at Kenrith, both white cards, but in Commander, they have to be 5-color because of their abilities. So, you know, like, white gets shafted with that occasionally too, where like, if Sisay was a mono-white card, like it was a mono white commander, and that activation was mono white, that'd be pretty cool, right? And mono white could really use that help. Sisay going into the zombies. Seems good. King Ginger says, white literally only needs card draw to become competitive in Magic. No, see, I disagree there, because white's, even if you draw cards, you still don't have a great finisher. Like, you can't end the game super quickly. You've got True Conviction, you've got Elish Norn, and like, you know, crickets chirping after that. Like, and those things don't usually end the game in one fell swoop. Not in the way that like Crater Hoof does. Oh, what? Opponent's going to do the thing with Bola Citadel, and each opponent's going to lose 10 life. I'm not on board for that. That's going to put our life total super low. Opponent's down to 7. Are we just going to, like, stumble into the victory again? Is that going to happen a second time? 3 damage to any target, you say. Seems relevant. Now, if you started printing, like, extra combat spells in mono white, which I absolutely think should happen, then, you know, then we're talking. I think that's the thing that mono white needs. Aetherflux Reservoir is, the greatest mono white finisher that's not a white card, is an artifact. They should probably just print like a mono white Aetherflux Reservoir and just like double up on that effect. Don't make it exactly the same, but make it a similar idea of turn your high life total into a bunch of damage. Yeah, I've been. Someone says white needs better artifact support. I think like a white fabricate would be totally in bounds. So the zombies go down. We're at 4. Opponent's at 7. I think we can just get there in the air and use this Kamal Pit Fighter to like finish it up. As long as opponent doesn't have anything right here. You could probably also just like haste the Niv Mizzet for the same idea. I think we're going to stumble into another victory. Make sure these shrines aren't going to mess us up. I think we're in the clear. That's a rout. Well, that showed up late. That showed up so incredibly late. Tap Jegantha. Get some mana. Actually, do we really even need to tap Jegantha right here? I don't think we do. Let's not do that. Let's just cast this Kamal. Kamal coming into play. It's a 6-1 with haste, and it taps. Go to combat. Send in the Adjudicator. Are we going to get there? Is this going to be the first victory for this deck? Mostly just by, like, staying out of people's way and, you know, watching the big decks kill each other? Maybe we need a Ghostly Prison for this deck so that we don't get crushed by, you know, aggressive decks. Yeah. Opponent's down to 3. Activate this Kamal. Shoot him in the face. Shoot him in the face. Down they go. Nice. Oh, my God. So we won 2 games by just kind of sitting back and letting other people run absolutely wild and, you know, let them kill each other. That's a valid strategy sometimes. Have the worst deck at the table and then hope no one attacks you. Sometimes works. So anyway, this has been Jegantha Tap Stuff Tribal. I'm going to sign it off here. My throat is pretty tired at this moment. So thank you guys for tuning in. If you like what I do, be sure to like and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for new videos. Should have a new video up for you tomorrow morning. I think it's going to be some Is It Wizards. And other than that, hope you guys have a good night.